Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 4 of the 2023 SIMSA Championship here live on Infinity Broadcasting. It is fantastic to be back with you all here for today's race out at Laguna Seca. I'm, of course, one of your commentators, Hamish Munro. Alongside me today is Jack Anderson, as always. Jack Oz, how are we today? You ready for today's race?
I certainly am. Hopefully it'll be a good one for everyone at home.
I definitely hope so. Now, for some reason, SDK once again deciding to be an asshole, pretty much.
Almost a slip up.
Not wanting to work at the moment, so I'm going to get that fixed so we can have some race info, we can have the overlays, and we can all just have a nice time for today's race. Currently out in the field we have... Oh, great, now I've got to count by hand.
We currently have 15 cars.
15, that's all right. 2 GTPs at the moment, and the rest are in the GT field. So the real narrative of today will be the overall GT sort of finishes and where they will finish in terms of pros and AMs, and if there will be some little slip-ups in between them. Of course, you know, finally we're able to have this live broadcasted for everyone on the channel. Of course, last time out we had to do it, unfortunately, off a replay file. But it means that we can actually have replays and we can talk about it as it happens. So that's kind of one of the bonuses that we get to have today, of having it live and in person as the race is happening. So, of course, last time out, Long Beach, just an absolute carnage fest of California love out in the concrete jungle. But we move on to Laguna Seca today, an incredibly tough track. One that is famous. I mean, both of us just naturally call it Mazda Laguna Seca, even though the circuit's now sponsored by WeatherTech. But it's an incredible race circuit, and it's one that is for a long time been at legendary status, hasn't it, Jack?
Yeah, it has, and it's an awesome track. Very difficult to get right in these sort of cars. It'll be a challenge for all the drivers today, but hopefully we see the cream rise to the top, mate. Cream of the crop rise to the top.
Well, it's going to be an interesting race to see who will come home with the chocolates, of course. I mean, you can see the track layout now. I mean, this circuit is well known for pretty much one thing, and wine lovers will get a little bit of a tingle in their nipples a little bit from hearing the word corkscrew. But that is really the roller coaster of this circuit, is that downhill sort of quick left to right. It is incredibly tough, especially in the GTPs. We currently only have 2 out there, but I mean, that at least adds a little bit of spice for the GT drivers, because they're going to have to deal with having GTPs come past them at pace around the circuit. Hopefully they can be a bit patient, but time will tell to see what happens today.
I've just had a note from Race Control that Crisscross Racing number 28 are having registration issues, so they will enter under another team and they will take the drive-through for registering under incorrect details.
Okay, well, that's a little bit unfortunate for them, but at least they get to still race. So 20 degrees today out here at Laguna Seca, 52% humidity, partly cloudy with about 12 kilometers worth of wind. So not too windy for a track that you look at it, it's kind of in like a bare wasteland of valleys, and well, you'd almost expect it to have a bit more wind than that, but I guess it's going to be a good thing, especially for the GTPs, because they can so easily turn around, and they are pretty much just made of paper in terms of durability, we'll say. So it's going to be an interesting race for sure, and one that I'm incredibly excited for. It's a really, like, Laguna Seca has produced some fantastic races over the years, hasn't it?
It has. The one that first comes to my mind is, I believe it was the American Le Mans series with the GT field of the Corvette and the Porsche racing to the final lap. Carnage ensued on the...
I was going to say that one. I think it was like, what, 2006? Maybe a bit later than that?
It was definitely the late 2000s.
Yeah.
It was definitely a race to remember.
So, well, just to give, I suppose, everyone a little bit of instance on the pace of the field. These are the results that came out of practice These are the AM results at the moment. So we can see that CXR finished out on top during practice. And then if we go over to the pro side, well, we only had 3 cars in there, unfortunately. But DBM ended up, DBM really just dominated, getting the top 2 spots. And then our GTB cars that are in the field today, there's currently 2. We are awaiting to see if any more join before the actual start of this race. They have until the end of qualifying to join. But, well, it's going to be, one that we're almost hoping and praying for. But regardless, we will move on into qualifying. We have got one of the GTPs out on track in Jack Michelson at the moment. So we'll see what sort of lap time he can do. We have also got the qualifying modes at the bottom of the screen for everyone to see. So we can pretty much just pick a car, focus on it for a lap. We have about 8 minutes of qualifying left, Jackals. So I mean, I mention it pretty much every week whenever I do commentary, especially for SRW, that you stuff up a lap, you've pretty much ruined your whole run when it's only 15 minutes because you only have so long to get the tyres warmed up and to get into the groove of things. If you get to halfway through the session and you make a mistake, you've then only got half a session to get your mind right and get back into it, don't you?
Yeah, especially since these are solo qualifying, so it's only 2 laps. 2 running laps that actually count. Oh, yeah. So if you stuff up your first lap, that'll ruin your, it ruins your mindset for the next lap, and you push too hard to try and actually bank a lap. But and normally end up making a mistake trying to make up that lost ground. So it's it puts a little bit more pressure on the drivers, and who knows, we might keep this for next season. It might change slightly and be an open qualifying, but we'll put it to all the drivers and see what they want to do for next season, and we'll take it from there.
I'm hoping that they almost agree with what I want, where it's you have the separation of qualifying by class, and you have, say, 15 minutes open qualifying for the... So you have a 30-minute session, 15 minutes for the GTs, all combined, and then the last 15 minutes is for the GTPs. I mean, maybe next season, if we're able to get the LMP2 in, then we can even go to 10 minutes apiece for each class set, but that'll come in time, and that'll come with us figuring out what we want to do. Daniel Yeaman has pretty much almost set a completely perfect lap there in qualifying. He went 4 purple sectors over the course of that lap, and it currently puts him in P1, not only for the pro class, but for GTs overall. So he is a very class operator out there in a GT car, isn't he, Jack Oz?
He is. He's a force to be reckoned with in the GT world. He every time I've raced against him, he's always been up the top, and he always gives you good respect when you're racing, and that's great to see. But he has ridiculous pace compared to a lot of the drivers that I've come up against. So it's good to see that he's in our series and enjoying it.
Yeah, it's great to see. Tom Sanderson goes top of the timesheets for the AM class there. Got 2 purple sectors in the final 2 sectors of the lap. So he actually outpaced the leader of the AM class at the moment at the end of the lap. Now, that might have just come down to maybe Daniel didn't get a very good run out of the corkscrew on the last lap. He has gone better in sector 2 and 3. First sector is either as good or slightly worse than his original first sector, but he could not match Tom's time through the 4th. We'll have to see what he can do here in the final sector as he comes up towards the finish line.
And how good, I must say, do those yellow headlights look on the Audi now that we've changed to the IMSA branded GTs?
Incredible. I love the yellow headlights. It's really going to be telltale when we get to a race that's actually going to go into the dark, because that's going to be one thing that is really just going to make the difference, is seeing those yellow lights peak around corners and sort of, you know, you're kind of in pitch black, and then suddenly it's like the doors open and just a heap of light is showing, and it's all yellow. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's better than the white ones. Adds a bit more character, doesn't it?
It does, and it helps differentiate the classes from GTP to GTEs and GT3s, and obviously we're not running GTEs right now, but yeah, it helps differentiate it at night, which helps us a lot, and just helps the drivers know if you've got a GTP coming up, it'll be bright white, so you'll be prepared to get overtaken.
So everyone has done their laps. We have got about 3.5 minutes, though, until the time is up for this qualifying session. I believe, though, that Jake Jackson might be attempting to go on yet another lap. I'm unsure, actually, if he's done 2 or if that was his opening lap that time round, because he has actually towed back to the pits. But currently, he is sitting at the rear of the GT field at the moment. Callan Hodgkinson and Chris Tomlin have yet to actually go out and set a time in their GTD cars. So
They have just indicated that they are ready to race, so they are going to start from the rear of the grid.
Could be a smart play. I mean, I know through the weeks of practicing that we did, of course, it's been over a month since Long Beach. Drivers have had plenty of time to get the practice laps in. When we attempted to practice in the GT car, well, the one at least that we tested in the Lambo, it was infuriating trying to get it around this circuit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely a handful. After a couple of tweaks in the setup, it became a bit better, but yeah, it's definitely not the preferred car for a lot of people around here. I think it's mostly to do with the rear engine nature, going around those long what do you call it, long loaded corners.
Yeah.
And yeah, compared to the front engined cars of like the Merc or the Beamer, where it's just easier to drive those sort of cars through those corners.
Yeah, I think it can come down to, I mean, the mid-engine cars, for some reason, just struggle when it comes to keeping that rear end in check when it, around loaded fast pace or fast and long corners. So I know at Spa, for example, the Lambo really struggled last year in the special event coming around. Oh, now I can't remember what the corner name is. The back straight.
It was the one with the kink at the end.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Blanchimont. When you come around Blanchimont, like, it really, really struggled. Ended our race because it just gave up eventually and kept on going into the wall. So it's, and even like the Fez, sometimes even at low speed, that car can just decide to do a nice little pirouette, thinking it's an ice skater, doing a little move for us out on the tarmac. Just a nice little spin, trying to get the 10 points, but it we don't hand out points for showmanship, do we, Chacos?
No, definitely not. I would, if I was driving, I would win that every time with my spectacular crashes.
So we have about 40 odd seconds until the time is up. Majority of the drivers have now set their times. It is, the LCR, LCR car has decided not to take part in qualifying, but they will be racing. They will just be starting from the rear of grid. Interestingly though, Simon Mazzomo, P3 at the moment for the GTD Pro class, unable to beat out the top 4 amateur drivers in that qualifying session. So he will start from P9 overall, P7 in the GTD class. So if he wants to try and make a challenge at the top 2 in the pros, he needs to be able to get through 4 incredibly fast operators from the amateur class. So that brings an end to qualifying. We will bring up the results of qualifying, of course. Here you can see them nice and grouped together. So it is Drop Bear Motorsport who take out pole position, not only for the race, but in the GTP class as well, just ahead of Infinity Motorsport there in P2. Drop Bear Motorsport beyond blue. Daniel Yeaman has managed to put that car on pole for the GTDs and in P3 overall for today's race. Drop Bear Motorsport HRS in behind them. Well, they got pretty much a front row lockout for the GTDs there as they slot into P2 for them, P4 overall. Alpha Venturi slot into P3 for the GTDs, P5 overall today. Crisscross Racing in P6. Risker Motorsport starting at a P7, P8 goes to CXR 93. They beat out their teammate CXR 51 in the pro class out into P9. And then rounding out the top 10 for today's race, Alpha Venturi Racing 414 will start from there. P11 goes to Backmarker Racing, the old razzle-dazzle, as we mentioned it out at Long Beach. And the Darkroom comes in P12. 19MX Raps Racing starting at a P13 ahead of CXR 28 in P14. Rapid Theft Racing was the last car to end up setting a time here in P15. And then LCR Esports will start at a P16 after not setting a time today. So these drivers will do a one warm-up lap pretty much behind the safety car. And then they're going full beans to the start line today. So we will wait for them all to grid up and get ready for today's race, Jackals.
Yeah, and Daniel's just currently talking through the drivers through all of the rule changes that we've gone through between last round and this round. Just the refinements we've done since we've taken the reins. And the car 19, which is Crisscross Racing's number 28 car, is now going to serve that drive-through when we get going.
So
they've signed up under 19.
Yep, so Callan Hodgkinson, who qualified the car, you would assume starts the race. He will then commit to that drive-through on the first lap. Now, Callan, over the last probably about a month or so, actually, through all of his league racing that I call on a weekly basis, he has gained a lot of pace. Now, starting a bit lower in the grid today, but he can actually make his way through the field because he is actually a nice and tidy operator in that GTD car. So I know he got his first win in the V8 Amateurs Series on SRW. That then kind of catapulted him to start really challenging for podiums and even really challenging for wins over the last couple of weeks. So he's going to be a little bit of a dark horse for me today. If he can keep it clean in that car, then I think they could really actually challenge for a good position in the AM class. Maybe not the pros, or maybe not GTD overall, but I think the AMs, he's going to be one to really keep an eye on throughout today's race. So as we await race control to finish letting the drivers know how the show will be run today here in Laguna Seca. 2 hours, 40 minutes of racing. That means it's an hour of 20 minutes if drivers want to go 50-50. It is going to be, it's roughly, is it 4 pit stops for the GTP today? Because they only run about 40-45 minutes, don't they, over a stint?
Yeah, I think it's roughly 45 minutes to 50 minutes on average, or 40 to 50 minutes for the GTPs, depending on the track. So, yeah, you might see a couple, or you might see 4 maybe, pit stops and 4 stints going from the GTPs, which will be interesting.
Yeah. And then the GTDs obviously only will have 2 stops because they go about an hour. So it'll be pretty much a full fill once, and then it'll be kind of a slightly less fill because then they only have to do 40 minutes of driving in that sort of third stint that they have to do. So we await race control to finish giving the call to the drivers here today. We will bring up the timing tower after the first lap of this race. So we like to keep the screen a little bit clearer throughout the opening lap just to see if any action happens, try and catch any incidents, and then we will bring up the information for everyone. But of course, I can talk through the info that I have on my screen as well. I don't think you've got an SDK, have you yet, Jackals?
I don't at the moment, no.
Okay, all right. Well, that's all right. You can just have your race labs up, and that'll get you some info on where
I
people
do.
are. Yeah. That's
One
right.
step ahead.
One step ahead. Great minds think alike. So that narrative at play today for the GTDs is, can Daniel Yeaman cover Tyson Broad into turn 1? It's an Audi top 3 for the GTDs in this race. Top 5 cars for GTD. 4 of them are Audis. 1 of them is a Beamer. Now, interesting. So I have a fair bit of info actually on some of these drivers after calling some races over the last couple of weeks. Like Greg Barber, P4 overall at the moment, and then P2 in the AM class. He is incredibly quick in that BMW. He's a multi-time race winner for SRW. The lights will go out on screen, but we will have a warm-up lap, remembering, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a little bit of a formation for them as the GTPs will pull away behind the safety car, and then the GTDs will follow them in behind. Bo Kane as well, the driver last time out who drove on his own, finally has got a teammate for this race, Jackos.
He does, and it was definitely a mission and a half for him the last round. So hopefully hopefully he'll enjoy this one, having some rest time while he's driving. But yeah, sorry, there's a.
No, it's all right. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, it's like every time I go to hear you talk, I hear Daniel talking.
That's all right. But I mean, starting at a P4 for the AM class today, P6 overall. We kind of have to talk about him. Our good old friend Miles Burgess. Oh, what a man Miles is sometimes, eh? Well,
What a unit!
Oh, what a unit! He is a fast operator, former race winner in a GTD for other race series, and he will put a massive challenge on today. Unfortunately, his race last time out was kind of hindered from the start, so hopefully he can have a nice and tidy start on this race, and actually make it to the start line before anything happens. But we'll have to wait and see what he can do. Jai Schultz starting for LCR Esports as well. So Chris Tomlin, or Chop as he's also known, not starting that car today. And we have Jack Pickett in P15 at the moment. I believe it's 19MX. I need to double check that. Let's just double check. Oh, Rapid Theft Racing. So Jack Pickett will start for Rapid Theft Racing here today. Glenn Wilkinson will start for 19MX Raps Racing. Jake Edwards will start for the Dark Room. Then we have Andrew Archer starting for Razzle Dazzle.
The race is starting.
Let's go. Final corner. GTPs. We'll come back to the GTDs of who's starting. So it's a drag race between the two GTP cars. Sam Sutton gets a bit of a jump there on Jack Michelson, but Michelson might just be playing the smart game and just letting him go. It's a long race, 2 hours and 40 minutes. As we'll go back to the GTDs to see the start. Look at those cars in behind the DBM. And Daniel Yeaman has got a massive jump over Tyson Broad already, Jack Oz. Look at this, into turn 1. Or would it be classified as turn 2, actually, because of the kink? Tyson Broad,
yes, it is turn 2. They're very close with Miles Burgess and Bo Kane on the exit of that second corner. Oh, and we got a turnaround. Car 22 has been spun around. Greg Barber.
That's big contact.
Oh, he's in the wall hard too. Looks like he's able to carry on. I will double check how much, if he's got steering damage. I will be willing to bet it does.
Oh, he was kind of lucky though. It was the rear end that went in. He's lost his boot, but he's kept his wing.
Definitely looks like it's tracking a little bit.
Let's go into the roll bar cam. We'll have a look. Oh, I can't even see the steering wheel.
I am currently on cockpit camera trying to see, but your view would be better. I think it's definitely down to the right hand side. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definite damage. Very unfortunate for the crisscross racing number 22 there. As we have, I'm assuming Greg is going to come into the lane. No, he's staying out. We have Callan Hodgkinson in for, I believe, his drive-through, but he's stopping.
That would be for the drive-through.
He's stopped in his box for some reason, though, so not sure what the go is there.
Big worry moment here for Daniel Yeaman at a P1 for the GTDs, nearly losing that rear end on the sand. Just lets his teammate close up a little bit. So we come on to lap 3, 2.5 minutes already into this race. And it is Sam Sutton leading the way over Jack Michelson for Infinity Motorsport in P2. We will head back, though, to see how the GTDs are doing at the moment. Yeaman leads the way still. He's led it since the start.
It's a very tight battle between Hopkinson, Sanders, and Pickett back in the field though. As they were going side by side. Oh,
Not
there's
quite.
damage on the back of that Audi. He's coming into the repair it. That's probably why there was a lot of or why they were so close going into
Thomas.
the corkscrew.
No worries. Thomas Sanderson. Oh, well, not really. No worries for him. He's had a little bit of damage, but Thomas Sanderson will come in. He'll get his fast repair and fix that car and get back out on track. Although not something you want to do so early on in the race. I mean, only 3.5 minutes in, and you've already lost your fast repair. That's a little bit worrisome for him. But you see here, the GTPs are already encroaching up towards the back of the GTD class. They have now gotten around Tom Sanderson as he exits the pits. So it'll only be a matter of time before Sam has to deal with some proper traffic on track.
We've got a strike against your name, big boy.
Me?
You didn't post the link.
The link is on the event
No,
in the Discord.
people don't know how to use that.
They should. They should know
Oh,
how to
well.
use it. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching today and you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button on the Infinity Broadcasting channel. The more subscribers we get, the better we're able to provide a much more wider outreach for the series. Of course, it helps with the algorithm. And as well, be sure to get into the live chat today for today's race. As well, it'd be good to have a chat to you throughout. I mean, Jack, you're already in the chat saying Pog, which is good to see. But we come on now, lap 5, 4:50 into this race, almost 5 minutes out of 2040, and well, it is still a long way to go.
Thomas Sanderson in the 818 has been black flagged for causing a collision on that lap 1 that we saw turning around the 22.
So he will have to come into the pits after turning Greg Barber. So it's only going to put him further back. He will likely lose this position to Callan Hodgkinson, who of course had to serve a drive-through for joining in the wrong car. But as mentioned, I mean, it's such a long way to go. If you can keep it clean over the 2040 minutes, you're almost guaranteed to gain spots, because I mean, you're almost guaranteed to see incidents happen. I'm not sure why, but the 19MX Raps 2 car is under the Pro class at the moment, even though it has green next to its name.
Is that the 29?
I believe it might.
Or is
be.
it the car you're on now? Because
No.
they joined in the 19 because they got
219. Let me get the number up. Glenn Wilkinson. Why are you in the Pro, but with AM colouring? Let's have a look here. I'm going to have to look on my list properly and get this. Yeah, they've joined in the wrong car. Or Glenn Wilkinson is an amateur driver. I need to double check this now. Let me see if he's on my list.
either way. We can sort that out later.
He's already
I
on the
guess.
list. He is already on the list. Be nice if I can get it sorted right now, just to have it well, nice and proper on the thing. Yeah, there he is there, Glenn Wilkinson. Yeah, number 2. Yeah, it's a Pro class car. I don't know why it's under the amateur colour. I'm not sure why. One of the drivers maybe that signed up is maybe it's the one of the AM drivers.
The other driver, I think, is Jake Jackson.
Ah,
I'll have to double check. As we see, if I could.
nice little slip up there, Jack.
That's fine. We see the GTPs are making their way through the GT3 fields already. It's going to be a very long day out there for the GTPs trying to get through the traffic.
Well, not just that. I mean, they've only got each other really to battle with, and there's only 2 of them in the field, unfortunately. But I mean, it could lead to some high pressure moments. It could also just lead to an incredibly easy race for them as well, since they don't have to battle really with each other apart unless there's a safety car and they get banked right up. But yeah, they're almost like the rolling challenge at the moment for the GTD drivers, aren't they?
Yeah, they are a bit. It is Jake Jackson in the
Yeah.
219 with.
Yeah. So I've changed that now. You told me he was in the 1 car. Oh, he must have been in the 1 car last time. So he's actually gone into both the Pro and the AM class. We're going to have a chat about that after the race, I think, because that's not supposed to happen. When you sign up in the GTDs, you're only supposed to be able to compete in one or the other. You cannot compete in both. So, but it does mean we actually have 4 Pro class cars out there, not just 3. So, that's a bit. Oh, that's all right for him. So, Thomas Anderson has not actually come in for his black flag yet, I do believe. So, Hodgkinson is still yet to get past him at the moment. He's currently back in P16.
The 818 are trying to appeal
Okay.
the incident.
Okay, so they are trying to appeal at the moment. So we will keep you updated on any outcomes with that, or any changes to that. Greg Barber still rolling around without that boot. He's got it's a GT Ute, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah.
With no boot on the back of that M4, so he's still rolling around there. This is a smart play though, because that car, apart from the rear wing damage, probably won't actually be affected that much from losing its boot. And you don't really want to have to use your fast repair just to put a boot back on at this stage. So maybe they're just waiting until the end of the stint, see how things are rolling, and see if they want to use it then. Although he did come into the pits, didn't he? Or did he stayed out?
I believe he stayed out.
Okay, so he's just still rotating at the moment, probably just fighting that car to keep it on track, but doesn't want to come in too early in case anything else happens. So Jai Schultz at the moment, P13. Remember, they started at the rear of the grid without doing a qualifying lap here today. Currently P7 in the AM class, as mentioned, P13 overall. So they are still just rolling around at the moment. They are currently about 2 seconds back from Glenn Wilkinson in the 19MX Raps number 2 car, who is fast approaching Jack Pickett here for Rapid Theft Racing in P6 for the AMs, P11 overall. Baxter Hopkinson currently in P10 at this stage, but P5 for the amateurs. So he is still rolling around the Alpha Venturi car. Good to see these guys still racing when they can. We were worried a little bit there that they might not be able to, but it's good to see that they are.
Was that to peel off to me then?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it is. It is great to see that they are still racing with us. They had quite a few cars at the start, and yeah, it's just good to see that they're still continuing with us and keeping faith in us with the new management, as you would say. There is actually a battle going on just up ahead of them, which is between the 3 cars you can see on screen: the Darkroom, Risket Motorsport, and Backmarker Racing. They've been battling for the last few laps, and it's getting quite spicy.
Do you reckon they could? Do you reckon they could risk the razzle dazzle happening in a dark room? Oh, that was horrible, wasn't it?
You can broadcast on your own now. But yeah, you wouldn't want to make any rash moves this early on.
Oh, you definitely don't want to risk it at this stage. Your silence makes me question my abilities. So,
mate, I can see you smile. I can see you smiling behind your microphone, like even though you don't have a camera on.
Oh, you gotta have some fun with it. But this is the battle though for P2 in the amateur class right now. Andrew Archer, Bo Kane, Jake Edwards, These guys are all fighting tooth and nail already early on, but maybe just working together a little bit, just kind of sticking together, trying to keep it clean, though. As I mentioned that, Jake Edwards almost looking for a little bit of a move at the final corner. Does he get it done up the straight? He does.
He does.
Nice racing room from Bo Kane there just to let it happen. He knows he can have another opportunity to get back past since there is, well, pretty much 2.5 hours left of this race.
Exactly. It's a very, very long way to go. So you don't want to be too aggressive too early trying to defend, or you'll just lose out on more time to the rest.
Well, not just that, you can end up wearing your tyres out a lot faster than what they need to. I mean, it's, you know, you not only do you have to make sure you're going to last the whole stint in terms of not having an incident, you got to actually manage your car, manage your fuel, manage your tyres. Keeping all those things in check while having a battle is a lot harder to get done. You know, when you're focusing on defending a position, when it's a long race like this, you need to be able to. It's such a juggling act. You know, the drivers, they're like, and it's not a defamatory thing when I say this, because it's not. I'm not meaning in a defamatory way. They're like clowns in a way. They're having to juggle like 10 different things at once just to try and stay in a race and stay competitive. It's well, it can be incredibly draining, especially towards the end of a race. But it can also be very gratifying and rewarding when it all pays off in the end.
Kyle asking in the chat, what has happened to GTP? There just hasn't been many GTPs showing up this round, which is kind of understandable for the track. It is a very challenging track, especially in GTP. But from memory, there was also another event on that some of the GTP drivers recently, in recent rounds, had also attended, so they might be doing that. I believe it was on Assetto Competition.
Is it? But not for GTP driving though, because
no, but some of the drivers in our GTP field had a couple of events like that earlier in the season where they missed out on a race.
Yeah.
I believe there's another one of those on today, so...
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are just going to take a quick little 15-minute breather just for a second here. We'll stay with that battle, actually, that we were watching just before the GTDs, and we will come back to you. There's something that I just have to quickly sort out myself just very quickly, and I don't want to leave Jackals on his own. Because I don't just want to do that to you, Jackals. So we'll leave the action on screen and we'll come back in a couple moments and we'll see you soon. But enjoy the battle on screen. back, and a massive battle is at hand at the moment. Very sorry about the little delay there. Just from a personal point of view, I wanted to apologise for that. But there is a battle in behind Bo Kane and Baxter Hopkinson at the moment, Jack Oz.
Sorry for almost cutting you off. There was a very close moment between the GTPs of Drop Bear trying to get through the field. They almost came into contact with, I believe it was the number 22. As we see Glenn Wilkinson off. Did he make contact with the wall then?
No, he just had a little bit of a spin at the kink, and then managed to pull it up before the wall, so managed to keep it clean there. Jai Schultz as well, although he just disappeared. Let's see what he did. Oh, big drift
taking a
on
bit
the
of
sand.
the speedway line there.
Jacob as well. Very easy to do at that corner there, coming wide in before turn 5. I want to say, well, yeah, because Americans like to add kinks as corners. Turn 5, just running a bit wide between 4 and 5 there, or 4 and 5 between turn 4 and 5, isn't it? Because there's that small kink after turn 2.
No. So you got turn 1, which is the kink.
Yep.
Turn 2 is the double left.
Yep.
Which is 1 corner.
Yep.
And then the right is 3.
Okay, very good. So we are also in the chat as well. Chop in there saying TLCR wants to drive the GTP, but iRacing say no. Kyle saying, do you blame them? And Chris saying, yes, I do.
Josh Schultz with the moment there, going through the corkscrew.
Let's see if we can get it up. Here we go. Oh, Mr. Drifter.
Very lucky not to hit the wall there.
Incredibly lucky. Very easy to do. Maybe just having a little bit of breath now, just kind of composing himself. He is giving some flashes, though. I don't know why. Maybe he knows he's on screen. But, well, this is the current lay of the land for the GTDs. Daniel Yeaman leads the way ahead of his teammate Tyson Broad in P2 at the moment. Miles Burgess has made his way up into P1 for the AM class, P3 overall for GTDs. And then Simon Mazzomo has lost out slightly here to his teammate, but is still rolling along in P4, P3 for the pros. Andrew Archer has made his way up into P7 overall, P2 in the GTD AMs as he gets passed by Sam Sutton there in the GTP car. Jake Edwards a little bit further behind him for the dark room. We have Bo Kane. This is the battle we were focusing on before. Bo Kane and then Baxter Hopkinson just in behind him. Greg Barber has already gained some positions back up here, Jack Oz, since having to come into the... Well, since having his moment. He's still rolling around with that GT Ute at the moment in the M4. Never thought I'd see the day that BMW decided to make a Ute, but I suppose... Well, I mean, they could actually. They could do the, what is it, the X5? That could be... They could do a Ute of that, surely? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I have seen someone made a brand new BMW Ute at SEMA last year, so they could probably do it. I don't know how good it would be, as there is a car off in turn 1.
Yeah, it's Baxter Hopkinson. He's had a moment mid-corner.
That's a bit of an interesting one. It's almost like he downshifted midway when it was loaded and lost the rear.
So then Jack Pickett just in behind him for Rapid Theft Racing, and we saw him before, Dry Schultz just in behind him there. Glenn Wilkinson there for 19MX Raps Racing down in P14 overall. Then Callan Hodgkinson a little bit further behind, just still rolling along after the drive-through at the start of the race. And then Tom Sanderson is actually in the pits still.
Whoa. Speaking of Jack Pickett, you must have just put the commentator curse on him. He had a bit of a moment going up the back straight.
Oh, he did. What has happened there? That's almost like his wheel has just decided to turn for him.
He might have just tried to give a bit too much room.
Just a little question just for a moment here. So that Fez doesn't have the yellow headlights. Do not all the cars have yellow headlights, or is that them actually not setting it properly?
So it does. It's just that some of the cars are more pronounced than the others.
Yeah.
And you can only really see them from up ahead. The headlights come through white, but they've actually got the yellow on the headlight lens.
Okay. All right. Fair
So,
enough then. So the GTPs at the moment, Sam Sutton has currently got a 37-second lead over Jack Michelson in the Infinity Motorsport machine. But, well, I mean, with a guaranteed podium today, why would you push ultra hard? I mean, you just kind of want to make your way through. I mean, but the name of the game, though, is Jackals, is actually keeping your car nice and tidy. So maybe they're hoping that the drop bear cars can maybe just get into a little bit of a moment and then they can just kind of Bradbury their way into victory.
yeah, exactly. Anything can happen in a split second, so you just want to keep it clean. And the drop bear car, as we know from the entirety of this season so far, they're just like, I don't want to say that they're ridiculously good, but they are. They've always had the pace to match with the fastest drivers, if not be the fastest drivers. So,
And sorry to interrupt, just quickly, Bing Bong, we have got Ash DeVries in the chat, so he's watching us live from, I assume, the airport at the moment, which is good to have him in the chat, isn't it, Jack Oz?
yeah, it is Mr. Bing Bong himself, Japapi,
Mr.
and
Yum Yum.
he's little insight for everyone that's watching. He's going off to Europe, so that's why he's not racing tonight or today.
His flight is at 9 p.m, so he's currently not at the airport at the moment.
No, he's in Melbourne though,
Yeah.
so he can't be at his rig.
He could have used yours. That would have been
No,
funny.
it's a very long way away from
No, I know.
Melbourne.
I get it. I get it.
But yeah, gonna have fun and go to the real life Le Mans, and maybe Spa.
Yeah, he was saying that, and maybe he also wants to go to Monza possibly as well. So, I don't know. We might have the inside line.
There is also talks of apparently doing a shoey at Nürburgring.
Oh, don't
to celebrate our Nürburgring win.
Why would you reveal the secrets? We could have had that as a special thing for the broadcast when he comes back. Just get it up on screen when he makes the return into the GTP, Jack Oz.
Yeah, but it was for Nürburgring, mate, for the special event, which is why, as he's already the most active person in the chat today.
It's good to see. He can watch the whole thing. He can give us some insight on what it's like for a GTP driver, especially around this circuit, being that he's raced in he raced the first 3 races. But yeah, I suppose maybe we can just cut to our pit lane reporter in Ash DeVries. How are these GTP drivers to drive?
Yeah. Big moment for Crisscross Racing number 51. Into the wall after the kink. Very easy to do there.
Oh.
Front on contact as well, so very lucky that he didn't pop an engine.
Could have very easily heard a radiator there. We would have seen the smoke coming out of the engine bay. Has not needed to tow yet, so we are yet to see a safety car in this race. But I mean, it could happen at any point. It was very easy to do on that corner. He got off the... It's almost like a concrete curb, and then you hit the sand, and it can just spit your car out. So, a very easy mistake to make. We are half an hour into this race, so 2 hours and 10 minutes. We are halfway through the first stint for the GTDs, and we're coming up, we're encroaching closer and closer to the end of the first stint for the GTPs here, Jackos.
Yes, very close to the pitting area. Sorry, I was just in the middle of watching a battle heating up with Jai Schultz and Glenn Wilkinson. They're very close together, and it looks like it's heating up.
Looks like as well Jack Pickett might want to try and get in there. And
wants a slice of that pie.
Oh, he does. He wants a slice of that pie. He wants to dip his hand into the box of favourites. He wants to pull out a cheeky chocky here over these guys. Well, speaking of favourites, that's a good question, actually. Jack Oz, what is your choice when it comes to the favourites box? What's the one that you want to pull when you put your hand in there?
I don't know. There's so many nice ones. I can tell you it's definitely not a picnic or a cherry ripe.
Really? As if you didn't say Turkish Delight as one that is a definite no.
I think the dark chocolate one.
See, like, I don't mind a cherry ripe. I'll accept it if I pull it out. I do like a picnic. The one that I want, though, when I put my hand in there is the Morrow. Good old New Zealand chocky bar there. Shout out to the Kiwis.
Moro is the one that's like the Mars bar, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Cadbury's Mars bar, pretty much. And made in... It is a New Zealand chocolate bar as well. It's made in... it's Dunedin, where the Cadbury factory is in New Zealand. So that's where they make that one. They also make... there's another one. I think it's Cadbury Fish, which is like a marshmallow chocolate bar. It's pretty good, actually.
Oh, we cannot be friends.
Kyle Gretsch saying Turkish Delight and Dream are elite. Just no. But I don't trust his takes anymore. Right?
So the Dream is all right.
Yeah.
Turkish Delight, no.
No. I don't accept his opinions anymore. Being a South Australian and his other opinions, not accepting. Especially that one. Like, Turkish Delight is just no. I feel like you might be able to agree with me on this, Jack Oz. Turkish Delight is almost like coriander. 50% of the population enjoy it, 50% hate it. Do you think that's fair?
Sure. I will say sure. And sit on the fence.
Turkish Delight is like, it's the last chocolate that's left in the favorites box, and you only eat it when you're really, like you're craving chocolate, but you almost, it's like the desperation one. You just have it because it's there. You don't want to, but you do.
It just goes in the bin for me.
Yeah, Kyle's right. It's a love or hate chocolate. It really is. It honestly is. And I suppose the question goes to anyone else watching as well. What is your favorite that you want to pull out of the favorites box? That's we've gone from pizza toppings to chocolate now. So we've gone from main course to dessert, I suppose, in terms of the food conversations that can happen during a SIMSA race. And, well, keeps us entertained at least. I like talking about it sometimes, don't you, Jack Oz?
Yeah, it's good to talk about things that aren't related to racing sometimes, that just brings some character to the broadcast.
So Glenn Wilkinson has actually made his way past Jack and Jai now. So this may be unofficial that this car is supposed to be a pro entry. Jake Jackson, who is the teammate of this driver, apparently had signed up as an AM driver, I think. But that will be something we'll have to investigate to see if they are actually eligible for finishing today. Because if Jake has actually signed up as an AM driver and he's driving in the pro class, that could actually mean this car gets disqualified today. Because if they don't meet the requirements of the minimum 3K I rating average, and since you can't sign up in both the AM and the pro class, that's just gonna take some investigation, isn't it, Jack Oz, just to see if some foul play is at hand or if they've made a mistake.
It'll definitely need to be looked at, but I don't think it'll end up in a disqualification. But it'll definitely be looked at for future. And yeah, I'm not sure what happened with signing up a AM driver with a pro driver.
I like Kyle's comment. Our monthly food YouTube channel in brackets with racing in the background.
Yeah. It's like all those the shorts that you see with GTA in the background, and it's nothing to do with GTA.
Yeah. But we are now 36 minutes into this race, lap 31. The laps are counting pretty fast, actually. I mean, I kind of forgot how fast the lap actually is, especially for a GTP. We could actually see quite a few laps turn today if they can keep it tidy, Jack Oz. I mean, with no safety cars, do you reckon they get over 300 laps?
It'd probably surely it'd be. I don't know if it'd be 300 because they have to pit a lot.
Yeah.
They're only on lap 31, so that's in 36 minutes of racing. So it may not be. As we see, Callan Hodgkinson going very wide there, taking the ultra wide line into the pit lane.
So I wonder why they've come in, because that's why. He also had this moment as well, a bit further round. Oh, really wide. Must be struggling with something. That wasn't the car that hit the wall, though, was it?
I don't think so. I think it was the 50. Was
The
it 55
51?
or something?
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
51. Big moment here for the pro class. Broad comes through the corkscrew. Lucky to not hit the wall, but he misses out. He loses a position to Miles Burgess, who now goes P2 overall. And then we go to Jai Schultz, LCR Esports. Runs wide onto the sand. Not quite as far out as what he did a few laps prior, but still just pushing on at the moment. And, well, it's been 5 laps since that happened. But that's how far... Well, it's lap 27 for these guys. 32 overall because the GTPs have done 5 more laps. It's going to have to be something we're going to have to keep an eye... remember that these guys are not on the lap that's on screen. Only the GTPs are. But it's... well, these guys are going to have to keep pushing and just try and mitigate the mistakes, I think. I mean, 20 minutes almost left in the stint. This is a question I would actually like to ask Jack Oz. With the 70% rule, do you think the faster drivers get out of the car at the end of this stint, let the B driver do, or let the other driver do an hour stint, and then they get in for the last 40 minutes? Or do you think maybe some of them will just let the second driver do a double almost towards the end of the race?
Well, it's going to be an interesting one because we don't do the 70% rule anymore. We do the iRacing rule.
Yeah, which is
and
what, 60-40 or something?
The minimum amount of laps required, it is saying, is predicted to be 14.
Okay.
So technically, people would have done the minimum driving time already.
Yeah.
But you doubt that they would literally just do 14 laps and get out.
Yeah.
So anything can happen.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, it's kind of weird. Oh, look at the move here. He had a run on Jai. Did Jack pick it? I mean, we saw Jai run into the sand a little bit there on the exit of the kink. Jack nearly getting it done, but that's not a corner you want to go too wide in, is the corkscrew, Jack Oz.
No, it doesn't really work very well if you go too wide through there. It normally ends up in quite a big catastrophe. As you see, he's ducking and weaving, trying to get past. Tries the switch back, bit of a bump there mid-corner. It slows down his run. He'll recoup and try it again in the next couple corners, I reckon.
He has got the pace over Jai. I mean, do we think Jai might be struggling with that fez at the moment, just trying to keep it on the straight and narrow, keeping it on the black stuff right now? Because that Beamer, I mean, we know how strong the Beamer is. Maybe, I think the struggles might be getting to him a little bit.
Yeah, it could be. As we all know, certain cars suit certain tracks better, and it looks like the Ferrari is struggling a bit at this track.
Although it's in saying that it is in P2 at the moment.
I was going to correct myself and say that the CXR car is in second in their class, but
So, just Kyle's asked the question, what sort of lap times are the AM drivers doing? So, the spread over the AM class, Kyle, is they're doing roughly mid-22s to sort of mid-23s. Now, Jai and Jack have done 24s that last lap, but of course they are in a tight battle at the moment. As Jack has gone off, just quickly, we'll see what he's done.
Well, he's had a mid-corner wobble, and very lucky not to end up even further out in the weeds. It's very difficult to get back on when you go off there.
So yeah, so it's about a second overall as the spread for the amateur drivers. The fastest lap times, they're all pretty much sort of not quite low 22s, but not quite mid, up to sort of low 23s. So it's within a second in terms of best lap times for sure for the AM drivers. So it's a tightly contested field, but you know, the guys up the front, they're keeping it clean. They're not getting into battles this early. That's the reason why they're able to build the gap and why they're able to sort of hang with the pro drivers at the moment, because they're not in those battles. They're not worrying about people behind them or people in front of them. They're just worrying about their race, and they're worrying about keeping the car, you know, as straight as possible. as Bo Kane has just come into the pits, Jack Oz, a little bit early, but he's only done 40 minutes of driving, so maybe this is actually the plan. Maybe they're going to do short stint at the start and then 2 long stints towards the end of the race.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see what people are going to try and do, different strategy-wise, or whether they're all just going to go until the end of the tanks and ride it out. Kyle also in the chat saying the Lambo suits this track.
I disagree.
It's very up to the driver, I guess, but it wasn't too bad after tweaking it, but it doesn't suit it as well as some of the other GT cars out there.
So Calvin Collins has now hopped into that car that Bo's just brought in. So maybe Bo only doing 40 minutes of driving, and now he's handed over to his teammate for the rest of this race. I mean, we'll have to wait and see on the second pit stop if Calvin gets out and Bo gets back in, or if Calvin indeed stays in for a double stint. So these are going to be the interesting queries in terms of strategy play that we could see across a spread over the whole GTD class today.
Yeah, maybe Bo's just saying, I've done my driving from last round. Yeah. I've done enough, so you can do the rest, and we'll even it out.
Quite possibly, as we see Jack Michelson encroaching on the rear of Daniel Yeaman here to lap once again. So this is P2 in the GTP, getting past the leader of the GTD class at the moment. We'll just show you the battle for first in class right now, although it is really just the first in GTDs overall. He has also got Sam Sutton fast approaching in P1, about 15 seconds back. So Michelson is actually caught sort of, they're getting to the end of their stint now. So maybe a couple of laps into the second stint, we might actually see the GTP leader lapping P2 in the GTP class, but still a long way to go anyway. Even if you go a lap down, you can make it back if there's a safety car and you get your wave around or something like that, can't you, Jack Oz?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we all know anything can happen in a split second, so...
Andrew Sharp in the chat as well. Jack Pickett is so sexy. I don't know how he's so quick. Love the banter. Although he is back a little bit at the moment after having a bit of a moment earlier. So now he's 4.3 seconds back on Jai Schultz. But he's got the pace. He can make that up. And Jai's been making a couple of minor mistakes throughout the race. So you can see the gap there. I think by the time we maybe get to the pit stops, he might be on the rear end of Jai once again. As Glenn Wilkinson has now gone off the track. Let's see what he's done here. Second to last corner. We've seen a couple of beamers go off there today, Jack Oz. That's the third instance, I think, now of BMWs going off the track there at the second to last corner, as first of the GTPs jumps into the pits. So Jack Michelson has now jumped in and will take his stop. I would assume that Sam will follow him in a moment, and he does. So GTP first stint is over and done with. They will come in. You'd assume they'd be doing doubles, wouldn't you, Jack Oz?
Possibly. I'm not sure about Michelson because he did have plans today as well. So, a big moment for Jai Schultz, just overshooting the corner by the looks of it. And Maria just wanted to overtake the front.
Oh! What a jump from Calvin.
Moment.
That's big.
That surely would have damaged the car.
Yeah, that's surely some under-tray damage of some sort. So we see the GTPs in the pits. Michelson, Jordan Ferguson is in the car, actually, so... Maybe Jack has done his minimum driver time now and he's leaving it in the hands of Jordan here. We will have to wait and see. Andrew Sharp, the Whitey's lad's going to be dangerous. And I hear they're not white anymore now. They're dark. I've got to find where they are. There they are. There we go. Jake Edwards currently in the dark room car, formerly known as Whitey's Pies. Ooh, bit of an off there for Tyson Broad. He's struggling just a little bit here, Jack Oz.
Yeah, he is, and it is a very challenging track. As we've seen, a lot of drivers make those slight little errors, but I'm sure he'll still soldier on like the rest of the boys, and he'll bring home a solid result.
I've got yet another food question for you. Just to I don't know, give a bit of a memoriam for the former name of the darkroom in Whitey's Pies. What is your pie of choice when you go into a bakery?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I haven't gone into a bakery for quite some time. As we see the darkroom coming into the pits to do their first stop of the day.
So they come in 10 minutes before the fuel would be up. So maybe they've got a bit of a strategy. Maybe they're just going to be doing 50-minute stints in this one. Although they would need to do an hour stint across the end of the race. But maybe that's their strategy for today. So I know what mine is. Mine is a curry pie. Shout out to the local bakery in the main street of my hometown. They probably won't be watching, but if they are, they should know who they are. Hopefully, I don't know. Yeah, the curry pie is one of legend in my local area. It is I can smash two of those very easily, and I feel very satisfied. Kyla said mushy steak pepper, or if you can find one steak and liver, but rare to find. Tell you what, Jackos, steak and I think it's steak and kidney pie, or it's steak and liver, out in Mafra. Oh, good pie. It is quality.
Well, whenever the food truck used to come to work, and I used to get a pie, it used to be a cheese, bacon, and beef pie.
Yeah, that used to be my go-to for many years.
Oh,
big slide.
Did he grab the inside curve there?
He may have. We'll check it out once again. I might just change the camera angle just to see if we can get a better view. So he comes up the hill. Yeah, he caught the sausage. Oh, that's
the forbidden glizzy struck again.
The forbidden glizzy strikes it again. We'll go right rear suspension, and we'll just get another view because this actually, that's the wrong side, and that's very loud. I'll have to go the other side and we'll get it again. Sorry about that. Oh, you can hear it on my microphone as well. God damn. Oh yeah. He knocked that. So, yeah, P2 at the moment in the Pro class is struggling in that Audi right now, Jackos.
Yeah, it's strange to see struggling so much. Normally they do have like a pretty troublesome free race. So.
Well, I mean, talk about troublesome free. The P1 car at the moment, Daniel Yeaman, has got a 50-second gap back to his teammate, and then a further 6 seconds back to the CXR car of Simon Mazzomo. What we could be in for right now, so there's 10 seconds between P2, P3, and P4 in the Pro class. They're almost squishing closer and closer together. We could be in for a heated battle for P2 in class for the pros the further we get on into this race.
Yeah, it's all shaping up. Sorry, it's all shaping up to be a pretty good battle towards the end. Hopefully, they put on a show for us, and
it's all right. It's all right.
I'm going blank.
It's all right. It's all right. I mean, what can you say? They are dominating this race. They're dominating the championship at the moment. They are an incredibly powerful outfit. I mean, you started this team and then you handed it over, and what they have become since that point is almost something of Australian iRacing League legend. I mean, they are so well known. You could almost argue they're on the level of maybe Fishy Motorsports, or even a couple others as well. I mean, some that come to mind, maybe Taipan or something like that. They are just one of the most well-rounded teams in all of Australian iRacing, and they prove it every single round that we come here for SIMSA.
Yeah, you can't forget Kyle though, because Kyle also helped me. Kyle also helped start Drop Bear with me, and then once I left, he made a couple of changes, which definitely helped which brought in Daniel and Tom, who currently own the team and run it, and also run AOG really well as well. But yeah, it's amazing how big the team has got and successful, and it's awesome to see.
So Tyson has now come into the pits for his scheduled stop. I expect the rest of the GTDs to jump into the pits very shortly.
Ooh.
Dry Schultz has had a moment. Let's check it out here. These guys have been together all day and they're still battling hard.
Oh, he's been turned.
He has. That's going to be one for Daniel Benefield, our race control, to decide on. For sure, that's going to be left in his hands. Asher's calling you Mr. Blank. There might be a new
Mr.
nickname
Blank.
on the horizon in the chat, I reckon, Jack Oz. Also, Andrew Sharp saying, trying to get out of the dark room, to be honest. Yeah, I slept with a nightlight for many years as a child, but now I actually prefer the dark room. It's quite nice. As Miles Burgess has gone off track. P2 overall for the GTDs and leading the AM
another
class.
airfield.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
We may as well call this the Laguna Seca airfield, with all the cars getting such air through that curb. It's amazing how many drivers have actually hit that.
I don't know.
No, we're not doing a rocket.
No, I got rid of it. I was double checking if I have it. I don't have it anymore, so you're lucky. I got rid of it because we don't go to Sebring for the rest of the year. So, but
I saw you going through your sources.
Yeah, I was just
mate.
seeing if it was there. And I was gonna save it for when someone jumps it once again. I'll be like, oh, they've launched their rocket, but no, it's not there at the moment. But we continue on. 5 minutes away from an hour into this race. We are now actually a minute away from just about being a third of the way there. So it's gone by pretty quick. 45 laps within 55 minutes for the GTPs. So just quick bit of quick math for a moment here. It's about 135 laps total they should get without safety cars.
Yeah, it's saying about 134 on my predicted, but it is going up ever so slightly.
Yeah. So, but it will come down to whether Drop Bear stay at the front all day and don't have a mistake, or whether they end up in the pits, being that Infinity are a lap down. So that'll be the real question. I suppose one question we do have to ask, or I do have to ask you, Jack Oz, will the Infinity drivers be forced to do a shoey since they will technically get a podium today?
No.
Okay.
Because technically we're outside of the top 50% of the drivers.
Yeah. That's new fastest lap there from Sam Sutton, a 110.82. 1.5 seconds faster than the best time that the Infinity car has done in this race, which was a 112.39. So he is on a rapid pace at the moment.
I'll tell you what, if you had that rocket ship source, I would have been okay with you shooting that across the screen then, because that car is a rocket ship at the moment.
I don't, unfortunately, but maybe it will make a return at some point in the season. Who knows?
Please no.
It's all right. Don't worry. I have a plan for Mosport. That's going to be a fun one. If someone smacks the wall, it'll be very enjoyable. Not for them, but for me as a broadcaster.
Also, going back to your pie question, I know that Ashos. Well, I'm not sure if Ashos gets pies, but I remember back in the day he introduced me to a sausage roll in a roll, and oh mate,
Baker's breakfast. It is beautiful.
Yeah, it's so good.
Speaking of that, actually, and I find this funny that this is a more a New Zealand thing than an Australian thing, but meat pie sandwich. You get a meat pie and you put it between two pieces of bread and then you eat it. Like,
I'll try that.
Yeah, it actually sounds pretty good. Especially maybe if you get some like butter fried toast, you know, your favorite sauce in there. Oh, that sounds pretty good. Yeah,
yes,
sausage
Carl,
roll
you did
in a roll.
hear that. You get a sausage roll and you put it inside a roll and put the sauce inside the roll. You eat it. It's top tier.
So I suppose another question is as well, will it indeed be Snack Pack Saturday for you, Jackos? Because it is for me.
Mate, it is SIMSA Saturday snack pack day.
Oh, yes. Very good. I will be going to get one after the race for sure.
Surely Ashos goes down to get the best snack pack that I've ever had
Yeah,
down the road from his place.
surely. We need confirmation in the chat if he's going to do that, and then we'll all just send photos of our snack packs to each other. That sounds so wrong.
Snack pack reception.
If you took that out of context and you didn't know what a snack pack was, it would sound incredibly inappropriate. We just need to get sponsored by a kebab shop.
You need a grios.
Oh. Hero, you mean?
I don't care what it's called. I'm going to call it a gyros.
AB pack. Or an ab pack. What is an ab pack or AB pack?
Kyle, if that's how you pronounce it over in SA, it's wrong.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get into an argument like that.
Okay, well, at least he corrected you properly on heroes or euros. I don't even know what AB would stand for. Because it's a HSP, Halal Snack Pack. Hopefully...
Jack Pickett was just black flagged for the contact that we saw earlier in the last corner.
So he will have to come through the pits. I assume it's going to be a drive-through, or would it be a stop-go?
I believe it's a drive-through.
Although Thomas Sanderson, unfortunately, after he made that mistake and he got the black flag, he's actually backed out of the race. So they are out of this race at the moment. Callan Hodgkinson as well backed out of the race a little earlier. So unless they're in the pits with a bit of damage... As we're just seeing some of the sights and sounds of Laguna Seca. We go back to the leader of the GTD class. I need to look up what AB pack stands for now. That's only in Adelaide, Kyle, so you're wrong. I've just confirmed it. It's only there. End of discussion. So, what do you think these drivers need to do just to try and contest with, well, the absolute dominance that Drop Bear are putting in at the moment in the GTDs, Jackals?
They need to maybe slash the tires of the Drop Bear cars.
I was gonna say maybe they need a little bit of a hope and a prayer, or
Yeah. I'm not sure. The Drop Bear drivers just seem to be a cut above the rest at the moment, and I'm not really sure what you can do to combat it, except for the obvious thing of seat time and trying to perfect that setup.
well, I mean, I guess the only real contender at the moment is Miles Burgess, but he is 25 seconds behind. And Daniel Yeaman.
Cars on your broadcast.
I know it's because of the camera angles. If I turn it up anymore, whenever I go into like the roll bar cam, it's super loud.
That's alright. We'll just don't go in the roll bar cam. We'll change it. I'll show you how to change it for next time.
Yep. Do some edits on the car sounds, get them all nice and good. Maybe I'll just turn it up so it's a bit louder for the broadcast. But Jack Pickett into the pits as well for his penalty. So we'll see if that's a stop go. Oh no, this might be their stop actually because they're an hour into the stint. So it might be a stop go or a hold maybe for after their pit stop. Alan Dawson into the car now. So we'll see if they have to come back into the lane next time by, or if they do a stop go. Greg Barber into the pits as well. Currently P2 in the AM class for CXR. It's a CXR top 2 at the moment for the amateurs. Miles Burgess.
You wonder if they're going to use their fast repair now to get that boot and rear bumper replaced.
Well, we will see.
I believe they have.
as Daniel Yeaman is in. The leader of the GTDs comes into the pits for his first scheduled stop here. I mean, maybe the drivers have to hope that DBM pull a bit of a Red Bull here and just forget to bring the tyres out, as Daniel is staying in the car. So he will do a double stint, and then their second driver will hop into the car as Miles comes in as well. So this is the battle for the lead of the GTDs today. This is for an overall win for GTDs. Miles versus Daniel. CXR versus DBM, and it is becoming a hot rivalry in the GTDs. Oh, that was almost an overshoot there from Miles. Very lucky to pull it up there, Jack Oz.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's done a Michelson at Daytona and overshot completely. So, very easy to do though, especially with ABS kicking in.
As Nathan Gardner is now in the car for CXR, so maybe Miles will finish the race out for them. These are all the questions that will be answered throughout this race. Glenn Wilkinson is still out on track for 19 MX wraps. They will need to come in soon for a stop. But actually, it's interesting. Actually, no, they have. No, they haven't stopped yet. It's interesting to see that they've actually gained 3 minutes of fuel. Pretty much, like they've almost got an extra lap. Jordan Ferguson is on the radio. What is he calling for? It's a tow.
For a tow.
So this will be a safety car, the first of the day. You know what that means? We get to bring up the safety car graphic. So has he beached it, or has he actually just damaged the car almost?
The whole rear looks like it's missing, so you can see the tyre marks there. It looks like they've maybe gone in backwards.
Oh, that is huge!
That's huge.
That is massive. So the way that safety cars will work now is, I believe for the wave rounds, isn't it? It's anyone that's in front of their class leader gets the wave around. Is that correct?
So anyone in front of the class leader should get waved by the safety car automatically.
Yep.
And then one lap after we are under safety car, it should be...
The cars that are a lap down, isn't it?
Yes, and the lane should be closed at this point as well.
This is big ramifications for that 19 MX Wraps car, because they're going to need to pit. Like, they are at the dying embers of their stint. They are surely almost out of fuel. They're going to have to pit, like, otherwise they're going to run out while they're under safety car because they can't come in. Or would it only be the exit that's closed?
No, so the entry is closed.
Okay, then.
But, yeah, it's just the risk that you run by trying to run it out as far as you can. Because,
let's just have a look here. We might hop on board. We'll see if we can hear any, any sounds of fuel saving. Very quick shift. So they are going slow to try and save as much as they can. They are approaching the safety car.
yeah, they have no fuel.
Yeah. So if they come in the pits, they're going to cop a penalty. But they're going to have to come into the pits, because otherwise they're going to run out and have to tow.
So they're allowed to come into the lane. They've just been informed they're allowed to come into the lane, fill it up with 5 litres, and then come back in and fill up the rest.
As they drive through the safety car. That's such a weird sight.
At least it's not like F1 games where you completely DNF at the start. From contact.
So, Infinity Events safety car out on track at the moment. Well, I suppose we should make the shout out too. If there's anyone out there watching and you want to get your branding on the safety car, well then get in contact with me or Jack. We'd love to try and get a sponsorship for the safety car period, because, Well, it's a good way to get your name out there, and you can be known as the safest brand in SIMSA, being that you sponsor the safety car. Pretty good to see. Well, it's almost a reset at the end of the first stint, Jackos. You know, they've been driving for so long. It's unfortunate though. This doesn't bring Infinity into the game because now they have to do their fast repair, and then they'll be at the back of the field. So it's not really going to help them in any way. But at least they can continue after that incident. So just to confirm, because you have got race control in your ear, was that them calling for the waiver rounds yet?
Yes, so car 4 has been given a wave around, they just have not changed it. And there we go. As he goes to unlap himself now.
So pretty much all the GTD drivers will be getting a lap back on the GTP. I feel like it should only be, though, I don't know why they're getting a lap back on the GTP for. It should only be on their class leader, not on the actual GTP cars, shouldn't it? Andrew Sharp saying Darkroom P1 incoming now. Yeah, I mean, shouldn't it be cars that are a lap down on their class leader, not on the actual leader of the race?
Well, Daniel Yeaman is currently behind the safety car, I believe, anyway. He still hasn't caught up, and he is in the lead of his class.
All right, so... But this is now... This is... Oh, yeah, all right. No, that's all right, then. Yes, he's actually a lap ahead of everyone else in GTD at the moment. Andrew Sharp saying, love my Darkroom boys. Can't wait to see how we perform at Majors 24. Is that supposed to be Le Mans? Or is Majors another event, Jackals, that you know of?
Majors is a full-on series, but they are doing the 24-hour of Le Mans thing, which we as the Infinity car has 36 minutes of required repairs and 25 of optional.
Have they got the fast
that
repair?
thing is done. No, they got a meatball coming into the lane. When they came into the lane before.
Oh.
For the driver change. Apparently his computer froze up.
Well, it would probably be beneficial for them, though, just to actually take the repairs and then get back out on track, because they need to do a certain amount of laps to be classified, don't they?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so 36, 50 minutes of repairs they have total? It was 36 required, 20-something optional. If they get them done and then they get back on track for the last 40 minutes, that should bring them to a majority, which would then get them classified, wouldn't it? Would that be the case?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I did hear over the race comms that apparently 862 did pit when the pit lane was closed. So I'm not sure how true that is.
Okay. So some spice comes into it.
I will go back and double check.
Andrew Sharp saying as well, thanks for the broadcast, lads. You're doing great. Really appreciate it, Andrew. Yeah, I guess the one way that we can have the series sort of expand and get more eyes on it is just by having people who watch regularly and have them share it with people who they want to, see the cast live on the Saturday every month. As I mentioned earlier, the more subscribers and the more viewers we can get, the better outreach we have, which is better for the algorithm on YouTube, which it might mean we're able to get more entries. And I mean, I guess the dream would be to have multiple splits of SIMSA that might run on 2 separate weekends out of a month. So we could have, say if it was 2 weekends in a row, last weekend could have been the second split, this weekend could have been the first, top split, or maybe second split do a shorter race or something like that. So it's it's something that we want to strive for. We want to be able to strive to have this be a really, really good series that people enjoy doing. I mean, obviously this track, though, is a difficult one, and it doesn't really lend itself well to getting a lot of entries, but hopefully the Watkins 5 hour we can see a real boost in entries once again, similar to what we saw at Sebring and Daytona. So Daniel's on the radio, Jackos. Can you give us an insight in what he's saying? We'll wait for Jack to give confirmation as to what the go is at the moment with the DBM car currently leading the GTD Pro class. And we will wait to see anything that comes of it. So we're under safety car. We're waiting for the whole field to come in. Jackos, what's the word with Daniel?
I just wanted confirmation because obviously it wasn't made iRacing closed pits, but it was announced over the comms by race control. But I think they only did like a splash and dash anyway, so.
So they did a similar thing as to what the 19MX car did. They just came in for a little splash to make it round.
I believe so. It was more. I think they only got essentially a warning or something. It wasn't a penalty. It was just saying, don't. You guys will need to pit again once it goes green, sort of thing.
They've already had 2 stops. They had their regular stop before the safety car was out.
Yeah, so my guess is they've probably tried to top up.
Okay.
To go further on this stint.
So they've just been given a warning for that little splash of fuel.
I believe so.
Okay. When did that happen? Oh, that was a little while ago. I missed Stefan McCartan. He was in race control waiting. I don't know if he actually spoke to Daniel.
Yes, he did. That was for the
CXR car?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, that's alright then.
That's why I didn't mention anything.
Okay. Yeah. I was double checking that just because I only just saw it then. A couple more cars heading into the pits. Have they been given the okay to come in?
Yeah, pit lane is now open.
Okay. No, very good. So some little splashes of fuel just to help them go a little bit longer in this race.
We're having some reports as well of another couple cars that have come in and done a service while the lane has been closed. So okay. I'm not sure what will eventuate from that, but I'll keep my eye out and my ears open for if Daniel rules anything.
The pit lane reporter in Jack Anderson, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm just running up and down every garage.
You are the Mark Larkham of SIMSA, aren't you?
Sure.
Just don't drop a brake disc on your foot, mate.
Oh, I can swear without doing that.
Oh, okay, very good. I'm very tempted to bring out the sights and sounds of SIMSA radio, like what happens on IMSA, but it's we are not SIMSA radio here at Infinity Broadcasting. We're just SIMSA at the moment. But maybe it becomes if there's enough viewership, maybe we can make it into almost a podcast that actually goes live for the call of the race. You know, people can then listen to the action, you know, after the race is finished if they can't watch it for some reason. But I don't know. That's something to think about maybe, but who knows.
So we're going green.
Going green this lap. Safety car is in. We will be coming on to lap 60. And we have now got the green flag, and Sam Sutton has now pulled away. We're going to keep an eye on, though, on this battle for P1 for GTDs. It's Gardner versus Yeaman, Pro versus Am. Who can come out on top?
Tyson Styles just made 2 positions on the entry to turn 2 then.
Let's get
Past
the replay
both
up.
back marker racing and
Rapid Theft.
Yes.
That's a good move. Nice and tidy. Plenty of racing room as well. Good to see these drivers just giving the space, you know, to each
All
other.
of the time you got to give the space.
What are we doing? Driving or ping pong? Racing or ping pong. I remember that from Mexico with Vettel, and I think it was either Daniel or Max, wasn't it? It was when he was in.
I believe it was actually Russia, and it was against Daniel Kvyat.
I thought it was. I thought it was into the, you know, the second straight at Mexico. Then you come into the chicane, the little left right. I thought it was into there.
Well, I'm not sure, but he gave the number 51 with a dive on back marker there, giving him a dummy and sending it on the inside.
Tell you what, Adam Hughes is a very fast driver. He's well known for SRW GT racing on a Friday night, and he's been the talk of the town for that series alongside Greg. Both of them just dominating that CXR car. I mean, over the past couple of rounds, it's been both those guys, and then Miles has kind of been the bridesmaid. He did finally get his first win, though, a couple of weeks ago, which was good to see. But these guys have really been the talk of the town in terms of GT racing in that sort of series. As Farrell
big crash.
Jackson.
Big crash behind.
The razzle dazzle in the dark room. Oh,
Yes.
Oh, that is that's going to be one for Daniel.
Tyson Broad is around. Very lucky not to get collected there.
Has he done what he did before on the sausage curb? Oh no, he's just hit the sand. Oh, that is very lucky. Very, very lucky indeed. Didn't hold his brakes on that one. Could have ended in disaster though.
There has also been drive-throughs for the 862, the 65, and the 219 for pitting while the pits are closed. So our GT leader has been penalised.
As well as Farrell, who's just come into the pits for their stop after the damage. So you said it was the 862, and what other car? The 92.
And the 219.
219, so that's Jake Jackson, 19MX Racing. So both of them getting a drive-through for their little splash and dash during the pit stop, during the safety car period. So this now puts a lot of, as Tyson Styles has actually claimed a position from his teammate, Nathan Gardner. But this now will put CXR 1 and 2 for the GTDs overall, and the AMs will lead the GTD class for the first time, I think, for the whole season. So very interesting scenario that is now at play. Halfway through this race, and the leader gets a drive-through and will lose the lead of the race to the two CXR cars who are leading the AM class at the moment. So we could be in for an incredibly tasty and enticing end to this race, Jackals.
Yeah, we could be. It'll be interesting to see where they pop out and how far down the order they drop.
Might just follow them here for a moment. They're currently down P6 overall, P5 in class. They've lost the lead of the pro class to Adam Hughes and to Tyson Broad and Loveridge. They're going to come out P8. So what this has now actually done, it's not just given the lead of the actual whole of GTD to CXR, it's also given the lead of the pro class to CXR in Adam Hughes, who is incredibly quick. And this is going to be so tough for Daniel Yeaman and Drop Bear to pull this back and put a challenge back in for not only the lead of the class, but also the lead of this race for GTD. I tell you what, it feels like every GT race I call over like the last month has just been controlled by CXR, and once again it's happening today, Jackos. And it's like a never-ending story that just continues to not surprise me that it happens, but it is good to see because these guys are incredibly tenacious and quick drivers, and they are really just like, they're really determined and driven to do well in racing.
They are, and it's really good to see Crisscross evolving in the way that it has. From, I believe that we used to race against them in Forza, and they were just a small team with Stefan and Miles and a few other blokes that I wasn't really involved with much. And it's good to see that they've expanded a lot, and they're up leading a lot of the series that they're running in, and yeah, it's just good to see.
So this is the current lay of the land for the whole of the field at the moment, as we have now surpassed the halfway point. Sam Sutton dominates the GTPs at the moment. He's the only one left on track for this race, so smooth sailing to the end.
Nathan Gardner, as I've given a commentator's curse to Nathan, sorry about that. He's had a bit of a spin, lucky not to get any damage, or was it helped?
We'll see here, the Alpha Venturi car in behind.
No, it seemed all by himself, and then getting a tap with the Alpha Venturi, nowhere to go.
So this is the lay of the land at the moment after that incident. Tyson Broad's gone off the track again. We'll come back to that in a moment. Sam Sutton leads the way as the last GTP car left on track, although Infinity could get back out on track once the repairs are done if they want to
have a look at that for a photo finish. 3 drop bear cars side by side down the straight.
That'd be a good photo for them. We'll mark it lap 66. So if they watch the broadcast back, that's the lap they know that they need to get that photo done. Tyson Styles, then in P2 overall, leads the way for CXR and for the GTDs at the moment. Simon Gorowski in Alpha Venturi Racing, number 414, sorry, in P2 at the moment, but there could be a penalty on the way after that tap. We will see if it was a racing incident or not. Adam Hughes just in behind him, leading the pro class and fast approaching the lead of GTD at the moment. Daniel Yeaman has now managed to make up a couple more spots after his drive-through and is back up into P2 right now for the pros. Tyson Broad in P3 for the pros, P5 for the GTDs, and P6 overall. That is a mouthful to talk about where the positions are. Nicholas Loveridge for the old razzle-dazzle backmarker racing, 646. Out in P3 in the AMs, P6 overall for the GTD class. Nathan Gardner, after that little moment, has now dropped down to P4 in class, P8 overall, P7 for GTDs. Jake Jackson making up in P4 at the moment for the pro class for 19 MX Wraps Racing. Chris Tomlin Chop for LCR is in P10 overall, P5 in class right now for LCR. Alan Dawson just in behind for Rapid Theft, currently P7 in class, and then Jared Farrell is not out on track for the Dark Room. So they will have some big repairs, I think, on that car after that massive incident that we saw off the restart.
Yeah, they definitely will. It was a pretty heavy hit to the wall. I believe both of them might have actually left, so they might have retired the car. As we see the replay of Tyson Broad going very wide at the exit of the last corner last lap. And he gathered it up very nicely. And I'm not going to steal your bit, Hamish, but Alpha Venturi, 6 positions gained.
Actually, it's 7 positions gained because they've
What,
also
they just
gained on the GTP car at the moment.
Ah,
Yeah,
it
so
only says during their class for me.
yeah, so it's 6 in class, but 7 overall. I normally now save the really big, like, 7 like that. I normally save that now for more than 10, just because it can get a little bit whitewashed. It doesn't feel as special if I do it for 6 positions gained and anything under 10. So I try and save it for more than 10, and if it's like more than 20, then well, I just lose my voice at that stage. It's almost deafening.
And there's no further action between the accident we saw coming up into this corner right here with the Ferrari of
Nathan Gardner, and
we see Nicholas Loveridge have an incident into turn 1. Or they get turned.
He cut the nose off of the DBM car. I believe that was Tyson Broad. So I think that'll likely be called, if that's been called in to race control, that'll likely be called maybe as a racing incident, but it is up to race control at the end of the day. But there was some net code in that, at least from my end. But of course it can be different for everyone of how they look at it. So Sam Sutton leads the way. He's kind of just the rolling sort of, I don't know, it's not a roadblock because he's a lot faster than the GTDs, but he's kind of like the rolling, I don't know, level crossing, I guess you could say. He makes the guys, they don't have to move out of the way, but just brings a little bit of added pressure when he's up in behind them having to get by. Adam Hughes has gone off track though, Jack Oz. I gave him praises, and he's also now entered the pit lane. Way wide. No, he has not entered the pit lane. It's because he was on the pit entry, that's why. So he continues on. So the Beam is really struggling around that second to last corner.
Yeah, it just looks like they're getting washed out at the front, trying to get around that corner. But a lot of them are taking to that curb, so they might be being a bit too aggressive.
So Styles leads Gorowski in the GTDs at the moment. Hughes in P3. It's a Beamer 1, 2, 3 at the moment as Tyson Broad has had an incident. How bad is it? Will we see? Oh, he hasn't called for a tow, so we won't see another safety car at the moment. Oh, yeah, just a little bit of a slow spin. I know the Audi is it's your favorite car or favorite GT car, Jack Oz. And like, what do you think? How do you best sort of not fix, but stop yourself from, making having that car have those little pirouettes? It's especially in slow speed corners.
The tough one. Sometimes, if you don't get the setup right, it will want to turn around on you, and there's not really much you can do about it. But if you tweak it and you get you get it in the right window, it will feel amazing.
So I just saw that in the race control chat car. I think we spoke about it off the restart that car 65 and car 219 had done a full repair under safety car. Now, the 6.5 is in the pits at the moment, and I assume they're fixing their car. Although, no, they're not
They
there.
did a
So
full
they've,
service,
yeah, so
meaning
they've,
that they did a full stop,
yeah,
filled the car up completely under closed pits.
yeah. So, but they've pulled out now. Jake Jackson, though, still out on track in the 219. But it is like, I mean, it's funny. It's only an hour and a half in, but there's already mistakes being made. I mean, we saw in the 7 hour, and 8 hour, it didn't really happen until probably about maybe 2 and a bit hours in that we really started to see real mistakes getting made in that race. Even towards the end of the race, we saw mistakes getting made. But it's interesting, even on a smaller scale, in terms of race distance, it can still happen around that 50% mark.
Yeah, 100% it can. Well, that was a bit of an audacious move then from Sam Sutton. You don't want to hit those cones in the pit lane exit very much. I did that in practice and may or may not have bent the steering, so it's very easy to do in all those GTPs. You don't want to do that very often.
This is the battle for the lead of the GTD Pro class. They have now gotten past Simon Gorowski in the AMs. Now, I don't believe they have to let them pass, do they? Because they also have an overall sort of finishing position. But, I mean, you're not really going to put a challenge up to the pro drivers because they're so fast in terms of lap time and stuff like that it's almost mincemeat for them to be able to get past you, isn't it?
Yeah, on one hand, you are in different classes, so there's not much point in fighting for it. But at the same time, you get bragging rights for also being and beating the pro drivers. So it'll be interesting to see whether they give it up super easy or whether they put up a little bit of a fight.
I think when they back up onto Tyson, who's leading the GTDs, I think he probably will just let Adam past him, as well as Daniel, because he doesn't want to impede Adam. Adam is a very fast driver, and I know they have a lot of respect for giving him the ability to battle with whoever he's battling with, and this is a close, tight battle at the moment, so he may just have to give up the lead of this GTD race to allow Adam to continue on as the leader of his class. A little bit of you don't want to live by the sword, die by the sword. You kind of just want to let it happen. As we see Daniel going for a move up towards the corkscrew, can he get it done? Down the inside.
Ooh. Very, very clean, very nice to give room to each other there.
A little bump, but I mean, you kind of expect that with such a tight corner, and it did not end up in disaster for both of them. So, I mean, I was saying about Tyson letting them pass, but he might not do it now that Daniel's actually gotten past Adam. But we'll have to wait and see if they actually catch up to him, because he is 9 seconds ahead of P2 and P3 overall for GTD in these two cars.
Yeah, and they did there was a display of an amazing amount of respect. As we have a 93 turned around the second last corner. That was a massive net code. I don't know if I've seen a net code that large.
I think the only one that I've seen larger than that was about half a car length, and I think it was a driver from the US, and maybe it was either the other driver was from Australia or they were from Europe. And yeah, like there was just like, it was the most mind-boggling net code I've ever seen in my life. Like, how can that happen? But I guess it's one of the things that happens when you go simulated racing, is you have to deal with your internet connection, and sometimes there is that little bit of netcode lag in terms of where the car is and stuff like that. So, but it's just a shame for them. But I don't think they should get a penalty, because it wasn't their fault, and their car wasn't where it shouldn't have been, because they had enough gap.
I don't know if you've noted, if we have said anything about it, but Crummy in the chat said, "Let go LCR."
Well,
obviously, Crummy is the team owner of Luke Crum Racing, LCR.
The big Crum dog, the most famous man, the most famous man in GR86 racing.
He has more fans than the whole series combined. Being called out his name from the top of the Bathurst building and being ashamed of all of his friends that are drunk. But
The myth, the legend. When are you going to drive, Crummy? Has he actually driven yet? I don't think he did Long Beach, did he?
no.
We need Crummy in for Watkins. We'll call him in here just for special comments when he's not in the car. Former commentator himself of Vets as well, split 2. I've taken his job. But I'll leave it up. I'll leave it up for the Vets viewers to decide who's better, me or Crummy. But that's up to them. Oh, I could ask you, Jack Oz, put you on the spot. Who's better, me or Crummy?
Not sure. I didn't actually watch Vets when Crummy was the broadcaster. No.
He was pretty good. I actually enjoyed it when Crummy was on there. Maybe I could get him in for the final race.
So I don't believe that we had drivers in there when he was doing it.
Yeah, Dad was in there.
Oh, well, that's the reason why I wasn't watching it.
Oh,
If he was the only person
just
in
a
there.
shout out to, or a shout down to William. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having Crummy in the booth next Sunday night for the final round at VIR. That'd be all right. If you're free, Crummy, and you want to get into the booth next Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. for the final round of Vets, yeah, I'd be happy to have you in there as a bit of a special guest for the final race. Wouldn't mind doing that actually every season. Just call the first 9 races on my own and then come up to the final round and have someone special in there. You're expensive. Oh, come on, Crummy. Do us a freebie. Come on. Don't be like that. Come on. We raced at Spa together.
Yeah, how did that end up?
Happy to help. There we go. Very good. So, all but confirmed to have Luke Crum on the broadcast next Sunday night for Vets Split 2 final round action. So, what with the current lay of the land, Jack Oz, how do you reckon this is going to go? Oh, thank you, Crummy. Thank you. It's just for us, Jack Oz. He won't do it for anyone else.
Very different looking livery to the LCR liveries I'm used to seeing on the V8s with the camo style day glow livery. It's very interesting. It almost reminds me of like the Tesseract or something like that.
I was thinking it's almost like although you haven't seen the gameplay yet for Marvel Spider-Man 2. But the new sort of, I think it's like the blue lightning effect that Miles has. I think it's his new Venom effect. It almost reminds me of that, or even like a starburst sort of thing. But yeah, I agree. Just a really nice little sort of blue energy explosion on the side of the car. It's different, but it looks really nice. So I guess I could do it. I'll do it properly since Crummy's in the chat. So the LCR Esports car currently P5 in class at the moment, P10 overall in this race. They are currently up 7 positions in this race and up 5 positions in class. So not setting a lap time in qualifying. Had a couple of mistakes, but all in all, a very tidy race to get up 5 spots in class so far.
And it's getting to that time of day now where the sun is setting, so the sun will get into the eyes of the driver at certain points of the track, making it even more difficult to see those braking zones.
I just realised we're going to have the yellow light shining at the very end of this race when it starts to get dark.
That we will.
Ooh, that's just got me excited thinking about it, Jack Oz. Race control over. What are they saying?
Drive-through penalty for car 692 for causing a collision.
So that was the collision we saw earlier, wasn't it, with the net code?
Possibly. That was a weird spin.
I actually wasn't watching when it happened, so I might bring it up again.
Oh, he's just hit the inside
Yeah.
at the corkscrew, which loves to make you spin out there.
I think this was the incident in question. No, it wasn't. This was the other one. I'm going to see if I can find it. Oh, no, yeah, this will be what it is here.
Yes, because even though there was net code, he still would have made contact.
Yeah, and he wasn't far enough up on him, so
Yeah.
that's very good. Oh, we got 9 people watching already, Jackos. So good. And if to anyone watching out there, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Infinity Broadcasting channel and hit that bell icon so you are notified whenever we go live every month with the live SIMSA action throughout this year. The next race, of course, coming up next month in June is the Watkins Glen 5 hour. So that'll be a big day, but a very enjoyable one, at least from my perspective, because Watkins is a great track for multi-class racing, especially when it comes to GTPs and GTDs racing together as well. So we could be in for some wild action next month, Jackos.
Yeah, it will be. Hopefully it'll spice up the competition a bit with maybe a couple new entries as well coming in.
So we got a heated battle at the moment.
I'm just listening to the
Race control.
the
What were they
conversations in race.
Ah.
They just wanted a confirmation on car numbers.
So Loveridge and Broad are in a tight battle right now. Razzle Dazzle versus DBM. These are the cars that came together earlier. We saw that the DBM car got the drive-through, and he's trying to poke it up the inside once again. Of course, backmarker racing. Loveridge does not have to give the position. There's no blue flags between classes unless they are a lap down as the DBM car comes in for the drive-through. So I have to see where this puts him out as he comes down. Here comes Jake Jackson just past him. Nathan Gardner a bit further back, so it's going to be close to see if he actually gets the position over Tyson. Be one to keep an eye on, though, here. Tyson comes out, so he survives another position. So just loses out, though, to his in-class sort of closest opposition in Jake Jackson at the moment. Well, we are 1 3/4 hours into this race. We are under an hour to go. We are now in the final burning embers of this race. We're just encroaching on the final stints for these drivers. I expect Bo Kane to come into the pits very shortly because he pitted around about the 42-minute mark and he's gone just over an hour in that car. So he needs to come in for fuel eventually. Now, he's probably been doing a little bit of fuel saving, I would suspect. But I reckon he comes in. If not this lap, then it'll be the next one, Jackos. What do you reckon?
Oh, that was a big wiggle there for the 2-1-2 coming out of that corner. But
so he stays out again. So do you think maybe he comes in the next lap? Or how far do you reckon he can push this thing?
I will double check how many laps they are on in their current stint. It's saying that they're currently on their 21st lap of their stint. Not sure how true that is, whether Race Labs might be lying to me.
Yeah, because they came in lap 43, which I think is the overall lap that they came in. But I'm not sure how many laps down they were at that stage. Oh, no, sorry, they came in lap 51. Oh, they have made their second stop, sorry. They must have done a little splash during the safety car, so they might be going to the hour mark at this point. Since they made the splash at the end of the safety car period, so we'll see when they do come in though. See if that changes anything.
He's actually, I think he might be slightly gaining on Christopher Tomlin there as well, so it might be shaping up to be a little battle.
Yeah, about half a second in it, so we could be in for something tasty here. We are about 15 minutes away from getting into what would normally be the second stop for the GTs if they went to the full hour in the first stint. Cameron Dance is now in the Drop Bear Motorsport car. Of course, he qualified it. Sam Sutton started the race, so he will now end it over the final 2 stints in this race today here at Laguna. So he's very fast. I mean, he only really has to cruise at this stage because they're 32 laps ahead of their GTP rivals in this one in Infinity Motorsport. But we are just waiting for the Infinity car to get fixed and get back out on track so they can try and get to the minimum amount of time on track or minimum amount of laps, really, to be classified today. So it's still up in the air whether they will actually be classified. But this is big implications, though, for Drop Bear for the championship, because they're now going to have pretty much a whole race worth of points over everyone else in the championship.
Yeah, exactly. And it just comes down to just showing up and consistently racing, and all adds up in the end. Of course, we have the one drop round, which a lot of the teams might use for this one, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the championships shapes up towards the end, and who will be on the top step of that podium.
Well, I hope that it doesn't discourage people to not show up after this round since they've missed it, especially if they missed Long Beach. They think, oh, we've missed 2 races. We don't want to show up now because now we're not in contention. Anything can happen. We still have, I think it's 7 races to go throughout the rest of this year. Anything can happen across those 7 races. 2 of those races are 5 hours or more. And it's still good to get out there and still have a crack, especially in the GTP car. We're very passionate about this series, and we're very passionate about trying to get the drivers out there having a good time on track. And it would feel so great to have a full field for the majority of the series. So hopefully it can happen, and we really hope that we can at least ride the whole season out with a good amount of numbers, and then even improve on that for next year as well. So if you're watching and you are in one of the GTP entries and you want to, and you're umming and ahhing about staying in the series or showing up every month, we implore that you do, because we don't race, but it seems like such a fun series to race in. I mean, you drove round 1. I mean, how fun was it for you, Jack Oz, to do that 8 hours of Daytona?
Oh, it was awesome. Obviously, you kind of want to do the 24-hour races, the full-length races, but we don't want to have not a full field doing 24 hours. So it was really good driving around with all the GT drivers giving you plenty of respect, and obviously you give respect to the other GTPs and the GT3s as well, and everyone. The caliber of driving in this series so far has been really good, and has really been a massive incident between any of the categories coming together, or anything like that. And it's always good fun racing between everyone.
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, that we haven't really had any inter-class incidents in terms of different car types. We haven't really seen a massive bingle between a GTP and a GTD car at this stage. There has been inter-class clashes between both the GTD classes, but they're still a part of the overall layering of GTDs as a whole. Even though their points are counted differently because they're in separate classes, they're still racing for bragging rights against each other. So it's a very, very tight when it comes to the spread of talent across both the pro and the AM class. I mean, we spoke about it first round. The upper echelon of the amateur class is as quick as the pros. They could be in the pro class, they just missed out because of their average I rating. We were talking about possibly having the top. Would we want the top 3 or just the winner of the AM class to go into the pros for the next season if they're fast enough, Jackals, do you reckon?
I think it should just be the winner, the winning car, or the top 2 maybe.
Adam Hughes going off track there, but just keeping it on the straight and narrow. Daniel Yeaman also went off track. Big rocket ship moment for him.
Drop Bear Airlines taking to the skies.
Commits to the pit stop as well, so an early stop for them. As they can afford to, though, because there's less than an hour left in this race, and if they fulfill, they'll make it to the end. Speaking of LCR, they've actually had a moment here. So Chop has big wide and in the wall.
That's definitely bent in the left-hand side of that car. Lucky not to rip a wheel out of that car.
They're also lucky that's a mid-engine car, because that was front engine, like front on contact with a front engine car. That could have been, another tow and yet another safety car in this race. So it was good to see that they were able to keep on going. Bailey Sweeney into the pits now as well. They have just left their pits box and now back out on track. So they take over from. No, that's not Daniel Gaiman's car. So they take over from Tyson Broad, and then the HRS car. Now I'm confused because they have the wrong team name on the bottom of their name, because they drive other cars for Drop Bear, and I haven't changed it yet. I believe it's the 862 that Broad was driving, or was he driving the 692? Do you remember?
So Daniel was in the 692.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I will double check it. Sam Battier is currently in there with Tyson Broad in the 692.
Yeah, alright. So this is Tyson Broad's car. So Sam Battier takes over from Tyson Broad. Bailey Sweeney takes over from Daniel Yeaman. Maybe we just ask Daniel if we can change the sponsorship thing at the end of their team name to actually having the car number, so it's a bit easier to actually read on the broadcast in terms of knowing what car it exactly is.
You've got the car number there.
I do, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just up to me to remember what car number they're in, not what car, and then also sponsorship on the end of the car name is. So, but regardless, I mean, it's good publicity for all their sponsors actually, since Daniel has the Beyond Blue name at the end of his team name, and then Battier has the HRS sponsorship. So, but Styles now into the pits out of the lead of the GTDs. Adam Hughes now takes the lead, but will need to come in once again. So it's going to be a battle at the top here between the CXR boys, depending on how close Hughes can get to his teammate. We could be on for a spicy end to this race. And I'm thinking now, since the Infinity car is actually so far down, even if they come back on track, we might just talk to the winner of each class after this race, not the podium finishes. What do you think, Jackos?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think that's how we've done it anyway.
Have we? Okay. I'm used to doing it for the whole podium, but we'll do it for the winners of each class today. So it'll be which, funnily enough, the whole podium of this race is actually the leader of each class right now. It's Cameron Dance, P1 of this race. Adam Hughes, P1 in class, P2 in the race. And then Simon Gorowski, P1 in class, P3 in this race so far. So they are at the top of the timing sheet, but they will also need to come in for yet another pit stop as well. So, I mean, it's a real cruisy end to this race for Drop Bear in the GTP at the moment. Jack Oz, all they need to do is keep it clean and make sure that they actually get to the end. Although, as I say that, they run wide and rub the sand.
Yeah, all they need to do is keep it out of the fence and just circulate, and they've won this. So it's pretty cruisy for them. The other car, or a lot of the GT3s, are finding themselves in a little couple battle packs, and it's actually turning out pretty nicely. I think it was Tyson Styles, Nicholas Loveridge, and the Jake Jackson as well. We're all in a nice little battle, with Nicholas Loveridge slowly making up some ground on Jake Jackson.
Ahead. Yep.
And Tyson obviously pit, so he's going to be coming up onto the rear of them pretty shortly and produce some action.
We can see him encroaching in the background there. I mean, we expect these guys to come in the next couple of laps, so it'll really, if he does get close, it won't be a battle for very long. But I guess the real source on the sandwich is whether Adam Hughes and Tyson Styles will be close together after Adam comes in, and whether they will actually battle for the win of GTD overall. I know that Adam does like to battle. I don't know about Tyson. I haven't really had much to view of his racing in terms of weekly racing, but I know that Adam is happy to have a little bit of a battle for victory. Unless he's led the whole thing, then he kind of just says, "Oh, boys, I've led it. Just let me have it, please." But yeah, so we are now only a couple of moments away from 2 hours into this race. We're roughly 40 minutes from the end. It will be the final stop for the GTDs coming up in the next couple of minutes, and then we will have the final stint for the GTPs as well a couple of moments later than that, as they normally go about 45 minutes for a stint. They would have come in around about an hour and a half in, well, maybe a little bit after that because of the safety car. So they will likely come into the pits for a quick splash around about 2:25 or 2 hours 20 into the race. So they'll have about 20-25 minutes worth of racing of the final stint in this one. So don't go away anywhere. It is action heating up all over the joint. We saw the kind of action that ensued after that safety car, and we saw that anything could happen in multi-class action here for SIMSA. We will be back in a couple of moments' time to continue racing for the final 40 minutes. We'll keep an eye on this battle that's happening, but we will return to the comms very shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on SIMSA, here with Infinity Broadcasting. Thank you for giving us just a couple of moments there just to concentrate on the action and just to quickly pop off to go grab myself a drink. I don't think Jackals went to go get himself one, but look at this. Out of the pits comes Adam Hughes, and both the CXR cars are right next to each other. This is for what is the provisional lead of the GTD race right now, Jackals, and it is CXR BMW versus CXR BMW for the final 40 minutes of this race.
Yeah, it is, and it's shaping up to be really good. And you can't forget that Jake Jackson is out in the front as well in the 1.9 MX Wraps BMW, and you've got Bailey Sweeney about 6 seconds behind, slowly trying to make his way up there as well.
So Jackson will need to come in once again, but he is currently leading the class. Lap 77, Bailey Sweeney came into the pits, so he is done for pit stops in this race. He can go all the way to the end, so about a 6 seconds spreads the top, or the provisional top three in the GTDs at the moment. It's whether Jake Jackson wants to bring a bit of spice to this and just defend hard until he comes into the pits against both these CXR boys, or if he just concedes, knowing that they've pitted and that they will take the lead regardless when he comes into the pits. So we could be in, Jackals, for quite an interesting final or encroaching on half an hour of this race.
Yeah, definitely. And as I mentioned before, the drop bear car is behind only just about 5.5 seconds now, so he is making roads, or he's in roads to get up to the back of the boys and make a challenge for that overall GT lead as well.
While we were having our little break, Nathan Gardner had a moment. Let's just check this out here. He comes around. Is he gone wide at the second to last corner? Oh, he's just lost the rear end. So it seems the later that CXR car gets into a stint, it just really starts to struggle with that rear end grip. So Jake lets them past. He knows these guys would have gotten past anyway, so he's not going to make it too difficult for them. And now these two CXR boys in the Beamer have got just pretty much 35 minutes until they cross the line to take out the top two in GTD, and it's just up to them whether they want to battle or whether they want to work together.
Well, very close for the 3 cars behind going into the last corner. They have a very nice battle going on. I believe it's... What have you done?
It's these ones.
Those 3, yeah.
There we go. No, they were out of sync, that's why. As we see, the two drop bear cars in behind of Sam Battier and Cameron Dance, just coming up to the back of these guys. These two are battling for their position. Sam is out of sync with them. He's is it Sam or is it Bailey? It might actually be.
It is Sam.
It is Sam? Okay. So yeah, so Sam is a lap ahead of these guys, so he's out of sync. No, he's not. He's in the same... Oh, sorry. It's because Bo Kane is between Sam and Jai on the timing tower. So Bo's on the same lap as Sam. These guys are a lap down, so that's why I'm getting confused here. But this is these guys have just been together all day and are still battling right to the very end. We could be in... I mean, if they come together, it adds something different, but we could be in for some really great battles across the whole field as Jai tries to, I don't know, maybe pull the dummy on Sam in behind, but that isn't for position, so I don't know why he'd be just kind of chilling at the pit entry there.
Just an update on the top 3. Bailey Sweeney is now down to 4 seconds away from the lead 2 cars, so he is on a charge to catch up.
Here he is on screen, P2 in class, P3 overall for the GTs. You can see the gap. That's how far up the road they are. They're currently getting overtaken by the GTP from Drop Bear Motorsport in Cameron Dance. They'll be hoping, though, that they don't get overtaken by a GTD Drop Bear Motorsport car. So they might work together here. Maybe they'll just sit too wide around the whole track so he can't get by them.
Yeah, the Lone Ranger of the GTP going around, and Cameron Dance just picking him off as he chooses, being the Lone Ranger that he is for this race.
I didn't think we'd have a Johnny Depp reference in a race, but oh, that's funny. The Lone Ranger. A man without consequences. Because even if he has an incident now, he can't lose the lead of the GTP class. So that DBM car is just, well, he's on roads to victory. Even if they have an incident, have to have damage control. The Infinity car, unfortunately, is that many laps down. Even if they get back out on track, they're not going to be able to make it up if they're in the pits because, well, the predicted amount of laps to have in this race was 134. They're 49 down on the leader, so with the time left, they can't make it up anymore, which is a shame for them. But hopefully, they can come back stronger out at Watkins. So, Jack Oz, I think we're at our scheduled time now to ask you about food again. We spoke about HSPs earlier. Why don't you just remind me and tell the viewers, what is your go-to HSP order when you do get one?
So my order would be either a mixed or just a lamb, depending on how I feel. HSP with cheese, jalapenos, and for the sauces, barbecue and garlic. I don't go with the sweet chili sauce.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So
I know that you have a controversial one.
I do. It is very controversial, apparently. Just quickly though, what are you feeling today? Are you feeling mixed or are you feeling lamb today?
Probably just the lamb, I think.
Do you get extra meat or no?
No, because I can barely finish the one that I get.
Okay, so I always go mixed with extra meat. Get cheese. Now, the place where I get it from locally does not have jalapenos, unfortunately. If they did, I would get jalapenos. The one that used to be my local one where I used to live, I always get jalapenos from that one. But yeah, so my perfect HSP order is mixed, extra meat, jalapenos, cheese, and then I get my sauce combo is sweet chili, garlic, and I get gravy. Not a big fan of barbecue sauce with HSPs, but I am a massive fan of gravy. Chop in the chat, Jack loves the extra meat.
Mate, I don't need any extra meat.
So, but yeah, I guess that question can also be posed to the chat as well. What is your go-to HSP order? What do you get on it? What meat combo do you get, whether it's mixed or just lamb? What's your sauce combo as well, and do you get cheese? So, yeah, I mean, have you tried the gravy in the HSP, Jackos?
Have I tried it?
Yes.
No, I can see why you do it, but it would also, like, I can see why you do it with the chips and the cheese and the meat, but
Yeah.
I can't see why you would do it with the garlic sauce.
So it's funny. You can almost taste every single sauce separately as you eat it. There's just something about that combination that I really love. Just quickly, while we were talking about this, there have actually been a couple of incidents, so we'll just quickly bring them up on screen. Jack Pickett has gone off the circuit. Just a little wiggle. Fortunately, he's not driving a big red car. And then a couple laps later, Jai Schultz as well, also having a moment. Just going into the sand slightly. And then Jack Pickett once again. See what the Rapid Theft car did. And just real wide off the exit of 4. So very easy to do. And then, and saying that, the GTP of Cameron Dance, what's happened? He's gone off track. Just a bit wide. Just a bit wide. So maybe it's just getting to them now. Maybe they're taking it a little bit too easily, Jack Oz, and just making that little mistake there, losing focus.
Yeah, it's very easy to do after a long drive. Just losing focus ever so slightly, and that's all it takes to bin the car. So lucky you didn't. Lucky you only went off and was able to gather it back up. But currently there is a battle going for 5th, 6th, and 7th place in GTD.
See here, it's Gardner versus Archer versus Wilkinson. CXR, Razzle Dazzle, Backmarker, and 19MX all in a big fight at the moment for the lead of this race. Oh, not for the lead, sorry. Big brain fart there for P5 in class, 6th overall. So it's going to be whoever can make the jump to hyperspace and get through as Archer comes past Gardner now, and these guys are just trading positions back and forth, and you suspect they're going to be doing it all the way to the end, as long as none of them get into any bingles or have a mistake made. So Tyson has actually let Adam past him now, and Adam has already built the gap up to 2.2 seconds, Jack Oz. So I feel as if it is just a matter of time before Adam takes the win here for the Pro Class and GTDs overall. What do you think?
It's going to be interesting to see whether the drop bear cars have any answer to that, as they still have to pass the number 22 to even have a crack at him. So it'll be interesting.
It will indeed. So as mentioned, under half an hour to go. We're encroaching on when we believe Cameron Dance should come into the pits for the final stop of this race. A little splash and dash towards the victory that he has, well, also what that car has almost been guaranteed since about 50 odd laps ago. But it's only a matter of time now. Remembering as well that the next round that we will have, although in saying that, I'll come back to that quickly. Nathan Gardner's had an incident, just gone off the circuit. Let's see what he's done. Just run wide. So that seems to be a running occurrence for that for the Ferraris, of running wide at that corner. So just really sort of, you know, struggling to get out there, or to keep it, you know, turned in and actually get it on the track, you know. So we will see who will, or what will happen over the course of the end of this race. Oh, we have Greg Barber in the green room. We'll bring him in for a quick little chat. What's going on, Barbs?
Hey, what's happening?
Oh, good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
So, well, it's looking like that you might be likely to take out an amateur victory today, although you have got Bailey Sweeney just creeping behind to kind of take P2 in class overall, or not P2 in class, but P2 overall for the GTDs.
Yeah, so, yeah, we're not too worried about that, but, yeah, the plan is at the moment to try and nail down a class victory for both the cars. So just sort of let Adam go. Tyson's just trying to keep a nice steady pace, and if Bailey wants to have a crack, he can. We're not going to make it easy for him, but yeah, we're not too worried about overall results. We're looking for class wins here.
Yeah. So Miles has just come into the, or Nathan's just come into the pits. Miles hops into the car. Those guys were looking very strong early on, but a couple of little mistakes has led them to dropping down the order a fair bit. But it's, I mean, it's almost like you and Adam get into a GT car, and then it's like we're just destined to have a conversation with each other at the end of a race. Like, how is this that you guys are just so dominant in this BMW that it's just a consistent basis that you guys are always up there, no matter what series it is?
Look, I think it's probably partially the fact that it's basically all we've been driving for probably the last 6 months. We haven't been doing officials. We haven't really been doing other races in other cars. Or we have here and there, but generally speaking, whenever we're racing a GT3 BMW. So it's probably something to do with that. I know I have grown a lot in the car over that 6 months, so I expect Adam's done the same. And Miles has been pushing us as well. So I mean, in the other series we race in, Miles is leading the championship, and he's tough to beat. So we're all up there, and I think we're just doing a good job because we're staying consistent.
Is that he's not winning the racecraft series, is he?
The Friday night one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is? Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he's probably 20 odd points in front of me now. So and taken 3 wins on the go. So.
Oh, has he? Okay.
Really
all right
well.
then.
Yep.
Okay then. So I look forward to calling that on Monday night, and having him in the chat if he's taken a win yesterday. But I mean, how's the race been? I mean, you've only really had half a race. You had 2 GTPs to deal with. You only had 1 now. Was it better that you had less GTPs to contest with coming past, or do you actually want to see more people show up for each race and make it a little bit more interesting in the long term?
I'm not going to lie. It's nice to not have many GTPs coming past you every couple of laps. Look, I think probably 4 or 5 is a good number, especially around a place like this. So two's getting down there a bit. Because as you say, you lose one of them and you've got no race left.
Yeah.
When you got 10 or 12 GTPs kicking around with another 10 or 12 GT3s, it does get a bit interesting, and you tend to spend most of your time letting cars by. Whereas today it's been really good. We've been able to sort of drive some laps and race against cars of our own type. So yeah, I can't say I enjoy letting GTPs past, but yeah, for the spectacle of it, I reckon probably half a dozen GTPs is probably about a sweet spot.
Yeah. So, I guess Jack Oz, do you have anything you want to ask Greg since he's in here?
No, not really. You guys have basically covered. Like,
it helps that we work together during the week.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe just the what do you call it? When we kind of want to maybe dabble into having a second series as well. Maybe a shorter sprint style series with GT3s, and possibly maybe a GT4s as well mixed in.
Yeah, GT3 and GT4 go well together. You got me a bit excited with the GTE call there.
But
I don't mind the old RSR either.
Oh, Jack Oz, another one.
Originally, I was wanting to do a WEC style thing for the rest of the year as well, where we had obviously a GTP, which would be LMP1, LMP2 if there's any interest in that, and then GTEs. And then next year, because WEC are dumping them, then it could be a GT3 one as well, but a European style calendar.
Yeah, sounds good.
I mean, we could even.
I've really enjoyed this series. It's been good.
Well, that's good. It's good to hear that we still have people who do enjoy it, and I really hope that more people do. Like, I hope that people who've actually drifted away a little bit over the last 2 rounds make their way back now, because there's some really good tracks coming up. I mean, you got Watkins, you got even, I know Lime Rock probably won't actually get a lot of numbers, and we probably should just run the GTDs around there with no prototypes. But I mean, even you got Road Atlanta at the end of the year. We have Road America coming up. We have Indy Road as well. There's some really good tracks which could lead to some great racing. That's a big dive.
Sorry, that was a massive dive.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all right. I personally hope as an organizer that we can have, the people who've drifted away a little bit come back and race, or even have some new entries as well, just towards who just want to race for the end of the year, and just try and put a challenge out there to to get a certain position in the championship if they can, throughout the rest of it. So, but I mean, I know I appreciate you saying that you're enjoying it, because it means that we know that people are enjoying the series, and it makes it a little bit easier to continue doing it. So it's very good.
Yeah, I think it's a bit easier when you're up the front fighting for it. And yeah, a lot of series that, especially ones that run for a long time, they struggle a bit with interest once a few guys that think they're in with half a chance sort of fall back and have a couple of bad races, and they sort of drop off and decide to do something else, which is a shame. But it's interesting. It's an interesting challenge that a lot of league owners have to deal with at the moment. Is just trying, because there's so many options out there.
Yeah.
Is just trying to keep people interested. So. As I said, I've enjoyed this one so far, and looking forward to finishing it off.
Well, at least we'll at least have one car driving around every race, Jack Oz, so that's a good thing. But I guess it's I don't know, it's like I really want this series to do well, and I really want it to really thrive. I know the midpoint in the year is almost a dead zone for some race series out there. And as you mentioned, I mean, with such an oversaturation in certain car types being run as a series over the course of multiple leagues, there's so many options for people to go to. I mean, the GT3s have, I think, off the top of my head, have got like 3 or 4 leagues that run GT3 leagues they run races every week. So there's plenty of options for each car type, which, as you mentioned, can lead to drop-offs in your own series, across the whole board. So, yeah, I think if we can come up with something that's a bit different and something unique to offer, then that might do a benefit for us as well. But it's tough.
Yeah. All right, boys. I better go and see if Tyson's got anything to say about that dive bomb. I don't know if there's much. I don't know if there's much point trying to get a.
I might quickly ask you then, since you do race control. If you were race controlling, what would your call be on that?
It'd probably be a redress, but I mean a redress in this race situation is probably not going to do anything for us, because all it does is put the fast car back behind us again, and he'll just do the same thing. So from a race control perspective, I'd say redress. From a driver perspective, I'm not sure I want to redress.
Okay, fair enough then. All right.
At the moment, because we're still alive, we're still in the lead. If he goes back behind us and does the same sort of thing again, takes us out, then that's a risk that we have to think about. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's looking more and more likely that we'll talk to you at the end of the race anyway, if you guys do take the class win. So good luck to Tyson in keeping it nice and tidy over the course, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you in about 15 minutes time.
Okay, mate. Talk to you then.
Cheers.
Right. While we were talking, the Rapid Theft car has been disqualified for towing without permission.
Really? Interesting. So that's Jack Pickett. So there was a couple of incidents that we didn't really get to see while we were talking. So here's the first one that happened. They had a big slide and then go off onto the sand. Then Jai Schultz as well had a couple of incidents. So goes wide at the second to last corner. And then the next lap, oh no, it was the same lap, sorry, he was on the next corner, he went wide again. Miles Burgess and the other Ferrari runs wide at that same corner. So it seems to be a problem for these guys at the moment. Same lap. Turn 5, they run wide yet again. So that car is really struggling with understeer at the moment. Jack Pickett, we saw him before, he has this little moment at the second to last corner. Running wide there. So that's kind of the story at the moment, is cars running wide. Oh, that's the incident we already saw. Miles as well. It's just these 3 drivers having issues at the moment. Oh, that's big contact. So he actually did enter the pit lane off of that. So that's not good for them. Pickett, again, just goes wide. And then the next lap, same corner. Oh, they're really struggling with rear end grip.
I'd be surprised if that didn't rip a wheel out of that.
Yeah, that might have been why they towed.
Yeah, and you can see there they towed straight away without asking for permission. Obviously, you don't want to see anyone get disqualified, but that is the rules that you do need to ask for permission to tow, and that would have ended up with a safety car from that.
I mean, maybe we can make the argument that if someone tows without permission, even though they get disqualified, there should still be a safety car because someone has towed, but that's a whole lot of effort. Or not really, but like it's something you have to then focus on. So, I don't know. It's the system, it seems to have actually worked pretty well today. That's been the only incident of someone towing without permission today and then getting disqualified. So, drivers actually look pretty nice and tidy in terms of following the rules that have now been implemented, which is good to see, at least from an organiser's perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's been pretty good. It seems like a lot of people have read the revised rulebook, which is good. And yeah, they seem to be adhering to the rules. No one's really had any, or not many people have had any sort of big incident like that results in a massive penalty. And maybe there's...
And race control talking. Can you give us an update from the pits, Jackals, of what they're saying?
So 862 is to redress to car 22 for that massive dive bomb.
Okay, so Greg Barber gets not what he wants, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's good to see that at least two race controllers agreed on what would normally be given, and that is what is being given. But yeah, now we're going to see a battle over the last 10 minutes for the final podium position. I mean, maybe Tyson will just let him go again once he's already redressed it. I'm not sure. But we'll keep an eye on this battle because it's very close at the moment. He redressed it, and then they're side by side up the hill. These guys are tightly fighting right now.
Was he fully behind the car?
We'll have a look. Let me just go on Tyson and we'll go rear right, no, rear left.
He was for a second.
This is the left rear of Tyson's car. I just realised the engine noise is very loud on the stream. Yeah, he was behind him. So this battle, they've let them back pass. So I think they're just going to be smart about this, and they want the class victory more than the overall podium, which, I mean, they're still going to take class victory even if they do get the podium finish, but they, I think, yeah, they care more about the gold than having gold and bronze for today. So it's they're just sticking to their game plan right now, which is good to see between them. So what do you reckon, Jacko? So should we focus on this little battle at hand, or do you reckon we should go up to the leader?
I'll just double check if there's any other battles going on.
And race control was just on the radio.
I was just saying no further action for the side-to-side action sort of thing.
Okay, so Miles went off once again at the second to last corner. So the leader of the race, Cameron Dance, they've led it the whole way. Drop Bear Motorsport. And they are 10 minutes away from crossing the line, getting that checkered flag and taking victory. They've just come past their teammate there in Sam Battier in the 692 as they come into the pit. So it's a final splash and dash to make it home in the next 10 minutes. Not that it's going to have any real implications on this race, but they will do the splash. They will make it to the end at this stage and should cross the line in overall P1 today. So Adam Hughes leads the way at the moment for the GTD class. This is the current lay of the land for the whole field. Cameron Dance leads out in front in his GTP car. He's the only one left on track. P2 in this race, Adam Hughes leading the pro class and the overall GTDs. Bailey Sweeney is currently in P2 in the pros and P2 for GTDs. And then Tyson Styles, P1 for the AM class, P3 for the GTDs overall. P5 at the moment is Simon Gorowski. P6, Andrew Archer. P7, Glenn Wilkinson. P8, Sam Battier. P9 at the moment is Miles Burgess. And then P10 is Bo Kane. Jai Schultz makes up the rear in P11 at the moment. Then Jack Pickett, Jared Farrell, Jordan Ferguson, Callan Hodgson, Thomas Sanderson will be non-finishers of this race if they do not get back out on track. So that is the lay of the land at the moment. That is where everyone is. And once again, Nicholas Loveridge saying, lol, he took us out to, I think that's talking about the drop bear car because I think Nick races for Backmarker Racing, if I'm correct. So just talking about that moment that we saw earlier when they spun them round. So Cameron Dance exits the pit lane to come back on track. Oh no, sorry, they've just entered their pit box. So now they come out of the pit lane to go towards the end of this race. As there's the leader in behind him of the GTD class. So it's just going to be a nice and cruisy end for them to the checkered flag of this race, as we are about 6 minutes away from the checkered flag flying, Jack Oz.
Yeah, we are, and it's been a decent race so far. Like, a lot of people would say this might have been a little bit of a boring one with the lack of GTPs, but I think it's been all right.
I think the GTD action has made up for it. I think the battles that we've been seeing through both the pro and the AMs, battling each other and battling amongst it, has been really good to see. It is a shame that for the GTP viewers out there, they didn't really have much action on the broadcast. But as mentioned, I mean, the more people that show up, the more action that they're going to see. So hopefully we can see more and more of the GTP showing up every month for these races. As mentioned, the next one is Watkins Glen, the 5 hour. I was going to pull it up before I brought Greg Barber in here to chat to us. So if I can pull up the calendar. But I've got to be able to find it. So I'll find the calendar and I'll make... Oh, here it is. I'm just blind. So next month, June 24th, a month from this weekend, we will go to Watkins Glen for 5 hours. A long race at a very famous race circuit here in the US. And then after that, a month after that, we go to Mosport for 2 hours and 40 minutes in Canada. So those are the next two upcoming rounds. And then to round out our little winter series, we have Lime Rock, August 19, 2 hours and 40 minutes around there as well, which we may or may not only run GTDs for that race, depending on if we think the GTPs will either show up or how well they actually do around there with the GTs as well. So all of that is to come in the next 3 months across winter. That is your winter calendar for SIMSA, and then we will continue on to the final 4 rounds after that into November, where we finish off at Petite La Sim at Road Atlanta. So plenty of racing still to come in the SIMSA season here for 2023. We are now under 5 minutes to the end. A couple more laps left for these drivers. They've done so well to contest for the past 2.5 hours. And not long to go now until they get to step up on the podium, taste that simulated champagne, and watch the checkered flag fly. Jack Oz, what do you think has been the best moment of this race so far, or at least the most exciting?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell which bit was exciting. There was a lot of great battles with a lot of great moves in there. but I don't think I can actually pick one particular part of the race.
I think it's not really my favourite from a T-Motors perspective, but my favourite visual moment was probably Jordan's crash at the top of the hill. I mean, that was something spectacular to see. Not good to see, though, when you realise that it's actually taken a car out of the race. But it was just a good visual aspect, I think, to have on screen. So, but then, yeah, I agree with you. I think the battles throughout the GTD field were really, really good to see, and some really nice racing room being shown, and some really good racecraft out there as well from the majority of the field.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the Infinity car on top of doing all the repairs, it keeps on glitching and giving more optional repairs for some reason. So they are unable to get back out.
So an unfortunate end for them. They will not be classified in this race.
No.
As they did not make, I believe is it 60% that we said it was you have to get to, or 75, something like that, to be classified, wasn't it? Or you have to cross the line. So it's it's unfortunate for them after doing so much practice over the last couple of weeks, but they can regroup. This will likely be their drop round, and then they can come back stronger in the next couple of rounds throughout winter.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll come back strong for next round at Watkins. I know Jacko and Jordan are looking real forward to it. So, and there's possibly going to be an extra GTP the round after that onwards. So,
which should be good to see. We love getting more and more entries into the series and seeing more cars on track, especially if it means that we can have more regular drivers out on circuit. I mean, we have got our regular players out there today that we've seen across the last couple of rounds. And yeah, just hopefully we can get some more of that happening across the whole field in all three of the classes, which would be really, really good to see. So we are now just under a minute from the end. There will be, I would say, 2 more laps, Jackos, before the end, because you'll cross the line before the end of the timer for 1 more lap, and then is there another lap added after that, or will it just be the end when he crosses the line at 2 hours and 40?
So it's saying to me that they will get 1 more lap, but we will find out.
Okay, so
I believe it's 1 more lap.
Okay, so this should be the white flag lap of this race. We need to wait for Daniel Benefield, our race control, to confirm it in the race. But Cameron, well, I mean, it's just been a real cruise for them today.
I can confirm that the white flag is out.
So it is now the white flag lap. So we lost about 10 laps due to the safety car. At least 10 laps of the expected amount of laps we were going to get. It was expected about 134, 135. But 125 laps is still a pretty fair effort for these drivers to do. I mean, Drop Bear, they just kind of cruised around the majority of the day and didn't really have much of a challenge, but it's still a victory nonetheless. They're the ones that showed up, and they're the ones that continued to race and continued to fight hard for victory. So they'll come through the corkscrew for one final time, make their way round the final 3 corners of this Laguna Seca circuit, and we will say goodbye to it for 1 more year as Drop Bear Motorsport will take victory overall today for SIMSA and take victory in the GTP class. Just a class above the rest today, but we'll go back to the leaders of the GTD Pro class, Jackos, and these guys, they weren't leading for the whole race, but they just stuck in it and managed to get up the front when it mattered. Jai Schultz also had an incident. We'll just double check it. I think he's just run wide at this corner once again. He has. So we'll stick with Adam Hughes here, who will cross the line to take victory overall for the GTDs. We'll take victory for GTD Pro, and we'll finish P2 overall today for CXR. As they make their way around the final corner. A massive victory for them. They stuck in it all day, did it when it mattered, Miles giving him a cheeky flash of congratulations. Bailey Sweeney with Tyson Styles close behind. Bailey takes P2 for the pros. Styles takes the victory for CXR for the amateur class. And that was the GTD podium here tonight, or here today, out at Laguna Seca. What a race it was. We wait for these drivers to make their way round, and then we will bring up the official or the provisional results of this race. And it was one that I think can only be described as, well, there was some great battles, fantastic action throughout, and just really, really good to see. So the results for today's race, if it will actually bring it up, Drop Bear Motorsport take the overall victory here with the GTP car finishing out of P1. CXR will finish P2 overall, and then Drop Bear Motorsport will finish P3 overall. We'll bring up the Pro Class Set results for you. There you see CXR over Drop Bear Motorsport over 19MX Wraps, and then Drop Bear finishing out of P4 for the pros, and then we'll bring up the amateurs as well. So it's a double victory today for CXR. Alpha Venturi getting up there into P2 for the amateurs. Backmarker Racing finish out of P3. CXR 93 finishes out of P4. Risk It finish in P5. LCR Esports finished today's race P6. The Darkroom P7. Rapid Theft Racing in P8. P9 going to CXR car number 28. And then Alpha Venturi Racing 818 finish out of P10. Although they will be classified as non-finishers as they did not finish enough of the race. We will wait to see if we get any of our winners into the green room. Of course, we want to be able to talk to our winners here today for this race, the winner of each class. So the Drop Bear GTP car, of which had Cameron Dance and Sam Sutton, the CXR 55 car, which had, or 51, sorry, which had Adam Hughes taking out the victory for it there, and then the CXR 22 car, which had Tyson Styles and Greg Barber in it as well. So if the 6 drivers involved in each class victory will be able to chat to us after the race, then we will chat to them. If not, then we will not. We'll give them until 3 o'clock to get into the green room to have a chat with us. Jack, are you excited for Watkins?
I am. It should be a good race, and Watkins always has a good showing. It's really popular with a lot of drivers, so hopefully we get a good turnout, and it should be a good race. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, the turnout is definitely the biggest hope for me, because we've proved every round that we can have good racing with all the drivers that we have. So
I think hopefully as well the longer race can lead to, you know, having more drivers come in, since it is actually more of an endurance race, and I know that excites a lot of people when it comes to actually racing. So, you know, hopefully we can have that happen, but you know, time will tell, and we won't know until the day of the race and until whoever is in the you know, in the session. But we have got Adam Hughes and Greg Barber in the green room, so we'll chat to them about both the CXR cars' victories today. Well, it's a CXR double victory for both the GTD classes. Of course, we spoke to Greg during the actual broadcast, and but Adam in here as well. I mean, I said to Greg, Adam, that something about you guys being in a GT3 BMW and you just end up chatting to me after a race, and it just seems it happens every single week. So big congratulations to both of you and to CXR on a double victory. How does it feel to get that done today?
Yeah, excellent. Considering the start of the race didn't go too well because we hit the wall, I think about 30 laps in or 25 laps in. So that didn't really help at all. But I think we just we got lucky with safety car, or the one safety car we had that really helped out. I think overall just a few people having a spin or getting a penalty or getting a slowdown or whatever the case may have been, or readdressing, so that sort of just really sort of worked in our favour, to be fair.
I mean, we saw the moment that happened with you and the drop bear car when they dived you. Greg was in here chatting to us when it happened. I mean, I know that Greg told us you guys would have preferred to not get a redress. I mean, sorry, that was the other
That was
car.
us.
Yeah, that was your car. Sorry, but no, but I mean, you know, you guys, you did so well across the whole race. Both cars kept it relatively clean from start to finish, and then you just ended up at the front of the field once again because you haven't really made too many mistakes, but you also haven't really been involved in any incidences that you've caused. So I guess that's kind of the telltale of what you need to do in endurance racing is keep it clean and stay out of incidents. I mean, you know, what's kind of, is that your similar plan now when we come up to Watkins in a month's time? I mean, it's 5 hours, it's a long day, twice as long as this one. You know, what's sort of going to be the game plan for that race?
Was that for myself or for Barbs?
For both of yous.
Oh, you go first, Greg.
Oh, I was just saying it's the same thing, mate. So one of the things that was good for us, for both of us today, was we both had our issues early.
Yeah.
And then we were able to spend the rest of the race recovering. So we went off lap 1 and basically just had to try and bridge the gap again. Safety car came out, helped us out a little bit there. But yeah, as you say, it's just about staying out of trouble and, you know, putting in consistent lap times. It doesn't matter if you're the fastest car on the track and you set the fastest lap of the race, but being able to set consistent lap times is the key.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, at least what we were able to do today.
Very good. Well, Jackos, do you have anything you want to ask the CXR boys or anything, I guess?
No, not really.
Okay.
Once again, you've basically covered all bases. So
That's all right. Well, I mean, you're both going to be able to shout out the same sponsors, but we'll start with Barb's. I mean, let us know who's out there supporting you, mate, and you guys can decide who's going to tell us which sponsors there are for CXR. But yeah, anyone you want to give a shout out to, anyone you want to let us know, then you can do so.
Yeah, big shout out to you guys for putting the events on. As I said earlier, we really enjoy them and they're great. For our car, Shunt Scenery, Palmerston Bakery, Jennifer Russell Real Estate, Poolmaster Bayside, Doomed Works and Game Changer are behind us. So you'll see their logos on our cars all the time, and they may change around a little bit depending on what car we're driving, but they're our main supporters, and thanks to them.
Very good, mate. And then, Adam, anyone you want to give a shout out to or anything like that, you can do so as well.
Obviously to you guys for putting the event on and for doing the broadcast side of things. Obviously to Tyson and Barbs for letting us through at a crucial moment and helping us out and using a bit of communication. Massive shout out to Simon for tagging along with me for this series and in the car with me. So he's been a massive help and been a dynamite crew chief while he's out of the car and I'm in the car. So big shout out to him. Everyone that's turned up for today's event, and obviously the same sponsors that Greg's just mentioned before, being Game Changer, Shunts, Jennifer Russell Real Estate, Poolmaster Bayside, and obviously Palmerston Bakery, and obviously all the boys at CXR as well for the chop out.
Yeah, just a special mention to Stefan for putting it all together too.
Yeah, that too as well.
Yep.
Oh, no love for Miles today. That's a shame.
Oh yeah, Miles. Yeah, Miles is there. He was just playing the dark horse. He was in there.
All right, very good, boys. Thanks for having a chat to us. We have got Daniel Yeaman, who I'm going to assume is going to represent Drop Bear today for their victory in GTP. So we'll move you boys out of here. Thanks for chatting to us, and then we're going to have a chat to him. So good luck for the rest of the SIMSA season, and well, I assume I'm going to talk to you Monday night after the GT3 broadcast of the race that happened yesterday.
Maybe.
Quite possibly.
Oh, okay. All right. Then.
You guys don't know what happened yet.
Oh, that's true. I don't know what happened. I'll see
You
what
never
happens.
know.
All right. Cheers, boys. Appreciate it.
Catch you later.
It is.
Daniel Yeaman, I assume you are here to represent Drop Bear Motorsport in their GTP victory here today for Cameron Dance and Sam Sutton.
Yeah, good call on that one there, Hamish.
Very good.
I did try and suggest Cam and Sam make their way over, but they seem to have decided to pack things up a little quickly after the race today for them. So sort of, I guess, sorry for that in a sense. But
That's all right.
yeah, I mean, yeah, for the boys. Obviously, unfortunately, they only had the Infinity 777 car to start against, and had the pace today to be a non-contender, and then unfortunately we lost that second LMDH really early on. So it was really just a case of just doing the laps this afternoon for the 296. Safety car. Well, at that point, unfortunately, not seeing the 777 back out on track meant that, did make it a bit of a lonely second half of the race. But Cam and Sam just getting some more laps on the board in the BMW, never a bad thing all in all.
So, well, I mean, I kind of mentioned earlier that I really want to see a lot. I'm hoping that a lot more GTP drivers make their way back into the series. I know Laguna is a bit of a tough track for that car, but I know with Watkins coming up being a longer race, hopefully we can see a bit better numbers for that class. And I'm going to assume from your comments that those boys are really hoping to have some more, more cars on track to at least fight with, to keep from being such a cumbersome race, I guess. So I mean, those guys. I mean, they're super quick in that car anyway, and they have done so well today. I mean, just to show up and even do all the laps, because to win a race, you have to show up at the end of the day. So, I mean, a big shout out to them for doing that. And I think, yeah, they've done so well, but just hoping that they can get some competition over the rest of the season would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. As much as getting a win on the board is always a nice thing, being able to do it with a strong field is all the better. And yeah, I'm sure there are people out there that are pretty comfortable in the car and would want to have a crack. I mean, obviously, finding a time for an endurance-oriented series can be difficult at times. I get that. Mind you, I think the timing, middle of a Saturday, is fairly convenient for these 2-hour 40 races at least. And yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll see with the Cadillac coming, depending on how things work in the background here with SIMSA, whether that might spark some more interest in the category. Have the two different prototype makes on the road as well, just to get drivers interested there. But yeah, look, I think we'll be keeping our car, keep racing in the series, at least getting our guys the laps in over the course of the year, just on the regular, even for that. But yeah, by all means, hoping to see more drivers keen for the longer races and the tracks coming up on the SIMSA schedule.
Well, I guess, I guess since you're here as well, we can ask you about both the GTD cars and how their races went. I mean, we saw a couple of little moments happen there, especially towards the end with a bit of a coming together with the CXR car and the 862 drop bear car as well. But I mean, all three cars had the pace all day. Just a shame of a couple of mistakes and moments that kind of led to a bit of a sour taste in terms of where at least the 692 ended up, but at least the 862 ended up getting P2 in the pro class and P3 overall in terms of like whole positions. So I guess, like, do you feel that today was at least a positive in terms of where those GTDs finished and where they could have finished, or are you a little bit disappointed in how it ended?
I mean, look, it's how to put this with the 862. I mean, obviously driving that car and I felt like it was a pretty comfortable job in the opening stint. We had mega pace over everyone else. It felt just walked away from the field. So I think obviously you shouldn't be disappointed by a P2 in class, P3 outright today as well. But I think we made some mistakes today with the safety car procedure, which just the way the iRacing pits opened up, but there was counter instructions which weren't. So there's some grievances there with the new safety car procedure, which hopefully we can flesh out and see refined for the next round. So kept a couple of penalty for that one there. And then also a bit of a strategy blunder, not swapping with Bailey just before that safety car, which made our final stopper longer than it should have been. I think if that hadn't happened, I think would have been right out with Adam at the final stop of the race, and we wouldn't have had to try and cut the gap down from 8 seconds. So credit to Bailey, he got the gap down to 3 seconds or thereabouts before we sort of we got entangled with the 22 CXR. A bit frustrating given that's an AM class car and the classes are scored separate. on one hand, I guess I can get why the CXR car is going to defend for the CXR car out front. But at the same time, bit of sportsmanship and more questions around, well, what is the appropriate conduct there with a GT Pro and GT Am? Maybe that's another question that we want to hopefully see resolved before next round. Before we get going into Watkins, given it's a longer race and such. But so yeah, and I think Bailey just was definitely looking to be aggressive there, and was a little bit too aggressive. So respect the redress call all in all, but yeah, that did put paid to that one. And just real quick for the 692, unfortunately, yeah, a good pace from Tyson, but a little inconsistent practice preparation from the team as a whole was nigh on in non-existent. So that probably doesn't help things for us there. We're sort of flying by the seat of our pants for these shorter races. And while Sam did a solid job, unfortunately, he just wasn't quite at the pace either. So a bit of a pace disparity between our two drivers in the 692 today, which meant for a bit of a struggle streak in the second half relative to where we were early on.
I mean, I guess, like, even though both the GTD classes are separate and how they score separate, there is still an overall bragging rights about finishing P3 overall or P2 overall for GTDs, even though they're not scored. But yeah, I think with the longer races, people probably will just like I know when we spoke to Greg, like they really only cared about P1 in their class, but I guess it also just comes down to personal preferences of when they wanted to let you go or whatever team strategies were at play. But obviously that's not up to me to comment about. You know, it's not my team or our strategy. But I think regardless, I think the team as a whole, you guys did very well and have done very well over the course of the whole season to pretty much be that dominant factor that Drop Bear is known for pretty much when it comes to sports car racing and even other forms of racing as well. So it's, hats off to you guys for still being consistent and still being as good as you are. And I think at the end of the day, you still prove yourselves every race. And I think you can take P2 in class and be happy with it and walk away knowing that you did what you could, even though you got a couple of setbacks out there. But we'll cover things in a bit of a race briefing in the Discord anyway, and kind of just talk about some of the things that some of the drivers might have been a little bit disappointed with and maybe that they wanted changed. But I guess a big thank you to you for chatting to us anyway and giving us the rundown for Drop Bear. I mean, let us know who's supporting your team and yeah, if you want to shout out anyone as well, you can do that as well. But yeah.
Yep, cheers, Hamish. I mean, yeah, to the boys who raced today, Bailey partnering with me in the 862, Tyson and Sam in the 692, and Cam and Sam in the 296, as well as a couple other guys in the Discord with us this afternoon, and just the team at Drop Bear in general. Big thanks to everyone there for being part of the team and committing to what we're trying to do with the crew this year. To the team partners in Coast Engineering Solutions, Sam Blacklock Media, Hybrid Racing Simulations, and Revolution Race Gear. Thanks to all those partners for still being on the car and being with us going forward. And I mean, yeah, look, credit to you guys for keeping the series going. I mean, we hope to hopefully see the series rebound and yeah, have some of the teams and drivers that we know would make us have to put the work in if we really want to keep results up. Hopefully there will be back in some fashion in the coming rounds, and hopefully, yeah, we can keep this series going and try and spark some interest in sports car endurance racing and find something that people are all keen to get around here in the community. And yeah, on top of running the series, so having a broadcast as well is always nice to be able to watch it back afterwards. And yeah, look. Hopefully keep our noses clean in the next couple of rounds and just keep and ticking, dot the I's, cross the T's, follow the procedure, because all in all the mistakes were ours today. It wasn't issues necessarily with other people on tracks. So yeah, that's really is the end of it all for this week at least.
No worries, mate. Well, thank you so much for having a chat to us. Big congratulations to the GTP boys on getting a victory today, and then also to the 862 on taking a P2 in class and a P3 overall in terms of the whole of the standings. We really appreciate you coming to have a chat to us and giving us the rundown from Drop Bear's perspective, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Cheers, Amish. Yeah, thanks for the chance to have a chat with you guys here, and yeah, hopefully have a chance to chat with you some more in the future rounds.
No worries, mate. Thanks heaps. Well, Jackos, another round done and dusted here for SIMSA. Out at Laguna Seca. We mentioned it, though, the next round out at Watkins, 5 hours. It's going to be a big day, but I know that both of us are really excited for it.
100%. It's one of the highlights of the calendar, I reckon, for sports car racing is Watkins. So looking pretty forward to it. And yeah, hopefully it's a good turnout and all the drivers have a great time. And hopefully they had a good time this race. But yeah, I'm sure they'll have a better race next round.
Very good, mate. Well, from all of us here at Infinity Events and Infinity Broadcasting, we thank you for your time today in watching today's race. If you are also watching the race off the replay or off the upload, we appreciate your time as well. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell if you haven't already to be notified anytime we go live racing every single month. We mentioned it. It's June 24th. That is the next round that we have on the SIMSA calendar, the Watkins Glen 5-hour here for the SIMSA Sports Car Championship live on the Infinity Broadcasting channel. I've been your commentator Hamish Munro. Alongside me has been Jack Anderson. This has been the 2 hours and 40 minutes of Laguna Seca. Thank you for your time, and bye for now.